had an issue with the sound. We're in here because I didn't hear from our IT people about the sound in the other room because the audio cut out at about an hour and a half from last week, hour and 44 minutes. It started crackling. You couldn't really hear it really bad, but then you go back and listen to it, it was crackling. So just to make sure we have a good recording, because this is the room I usually use myself, so we'll see. Get rid of this. All right, we're recording here. I want to see what else I might need to do. No, we'll figure it out as we go. We have Mrs. Smith here tonight to talk about all the research resources. The topic for the evening is resources for biblical studies research is what we're talking about. But she's going to talk broadly. And some of the examples I'm using are not just biblical topics. They're just thinking broadly to get us thinking. But ultimately, the evening in this first session, she's going to introduce all the resources. Take what time you want, a couple hours. You know, if it goes that long, if you want to cut it shorter, you do what you need to do. All right. For us, and then we'll fill in the rest of the time of the evening here. Research paper topic. I've just looked through the topics and responded to everybody in Canvas about topics, and I'm gonna speak to Li Shuang. He's the only one I asked to make a redo there, and I'm saying it for everybody because we're going to look at all the topics there, and where you put out in my comments there. We'll come back to that. Turabian chapters 3 and 4. Hopefully you've been able to look through Turabian. For next week, we're going to do constructing an argument, preparing a first draft. We're going to talk about Turabian 5 and 6. The research topic redo, if anybody has to, just Li Shuang is the only one I'm asking. And it's just, he didn't use all the statements, so I'm wanting to do them to get it out, but then we'll talk about what you all wrote. Then the practice is from chapter 17, practice 2 in Turabian, and the language exercises are transliteration. For our purposes, and we're going to talk about this later, transliteration. You did a speaking just to get the language in your mind a little bit. That's all it's for. We're not going to try to talk it. We don't talk Greek or Hebrew, the Koine Greek, or you can talk Hebrew if you went to Israel. Usually all the signs are in three languages: English, Arabic, and then Hebrew. The purpose, though, is to get it into your mind as you're sounding it out when you're reading it. All right. The next step tonight is, all right, if I'm going to use it in a research paper, I don't have access to the languages on my computer. Now, there are places we're going to go. I'm going to introduce some of them where you can actually start typing. We were talking a little bit about that today with the doctoral students, with Dr. Gramacki at the library meeting today. But if you really want to get into it and start typing, there are software programs you can download, but you need to change your keyboard. So it's a sort of a process to get you set up to type in another language there, but you can do it on our keyboards there because they're all set up to be able to do that, but you have to have it set up. But there's ways to do it easily for Greek, not so easily for Hebrew. So what we're going to introduce tonight is, all right, I see the Hebrew word and I want to put it in a paper. How about I just put it in English? All right, you can do that. And we're going to introduce transliteration, what that form would come into English. And we don't use accents. So what we introduced last week is just the breathings, where you have breathings and some other things that go on in Hebrew that we need to be aware of. So when we put it in our papers, we're typing it correctly there. And it's all going to go, what? Too much. I don't understand. So I'm going to give you some handouts relative to that. Anybody have any questions as we start out? Okay, let me do this in a word prayer, and I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Smith here for us. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for the night, and thank you for these men as they're wanting to serve your ministry. Thank you for Mrs. Smith as she's coming to help us toward that end. So many resources, and we just thank you for the skills that you've given her with that. Help us with good communication tonight. That's our need, and that's what we want to do in order to honor you, so we can take our thinking a little further down the road with the research that we have at our accessibility, and then deepen that ability with that task Father, just for all the things in our lives, we just lay them before you and pray those other things that would maybe be a distraction tonight would be at a minimum, so your Spirit could then just work with us as we seek to learn a little bit more. So bless the evening for your glory, for Jesus' sake. Amen. Amen. All right, come on.
Okay, so I am going to share with you some of our resources here.
How did you do that? How did you... I'm learning that with teams. I messed up last week.
All right, so here is our Calvary University website. So to get to the library, you have a couple options. You can either calvary.edu/library or calvary.edu, go to academics, and we're the Hilda Croker Library. Either way, you will land at the same place, which will be here. We have some quick tabs down here, and if I click on them, they will go down to the appropriate places. But I want to jump down to resources, but I want to take you down through the page instead. So we have our hours. We have the Clark Academic Center. We always put out a little blurb for the Clark Academic Center. Use them. They're here to help you with whatever you might need, fleshing out a topic, going over papers with you, whatever it be, they're here. There's also a little bit about our library. We have about 30,000 books and ebooks in our library. About half of it is Bible and theology. Books check out for 4 weeks at a time. We are part of the Mobius Consortium. The Mobius Consortium is a physical book resource consortium. We have access to 80 different libraries, which are about 233 branches across Missouri, some in Kansas, Iowa, Arkansas, Missouri, of course. And we also then have an agreement with Colorado, their prospector, and Colorado attaches all of their libraries to Prospector. So in effect, we have access to the entire Colorado library system as well. Those books are sent to the Calvary Library or any Mobius library if you happen to live closer to a different library, and we can take a look at what those will be. But if you happen to look closer to one, you can do a pickup anywhere and arrange to pick up a book at the library closest to you. That brings in about 30 million different resources. Yes.
How long does that take?
Depending how close they are. If it's a Kansas City area library, 2 days. It's very quick. Colorado takes a little bit longer, but we're talking like a week. So not a whole lot of time for it to get to you. Our previous one, we would tell people to plan on 10 days to 2 weeks. So this is really fast compared to what it used to be. Yes. So this is something that I'll definitely encourage you to use, and we'll take a look at what that catalog looks like later.
And just to throw in, so you can tell us, I'm asking you to identify a resource in this initial bibliography that will come through this system. Not that they would have to order it, but yes, you would tell me in your bibliography, this is the one I'd go out through Mobius.
True. Yes.
Well, and how would we know that?
I will get to show you where Mobius is and how you can search that catalog. I will. I promise.
Just so you actually do it. I want you to.
Yes. If you have any issues using Mobius, I do have Mobius instructional videos here. Mobius is a little newer to us. I'm going to go over it here in class, but if we come back later and you're like, I don't want to go through the 3-hour video just to find how to get to my library account, there's a little video here. These are all really short that can run over it for you. We have 3 reciprocal borrowing programs as well. They're like consortiums, but they are actual physical libraries. So we have the Atla one here, and I'll just open the tab here and show you what this list looks like. So all of these libraries here, which are all over the nation, are available, and there's others in Kansas City here, and these are ones that you can physically go to their library, and as a Calvary student, you can use their libraries. This is helpful for physical resources, but it also can be helpful because they often have computers available for people to walk in and use that will have access to all of their digital resources as well, that you would not have access to without going to those libraries. So since we live in Kansas City, there are actually quite a few of them. So we live in a rather populated university seminary area. So we have access to more than you might have in a smaller town or something.
So we could go
Yes.
to those by Mobius too, though.
So Mobius, let me get you. So Mobius has their list of 227 branches, and you can look and see where they all are. I don't know if they did have a map. I feel like we should have a map. Maybe there is not a map.
Is this sortable? So if you open up one of those, you can actually go to their library source from there?
Yes. So you could go and figure out what they had. But with Mobius, you're able to search them all at once, and you don't have to find the specific library.
Okay.
So I will show you how to do that
Okay.
when we get down to Mobius. We also have the Association of Christian Libraries Reciprocal Borrowing Program. It also works the same as the American Theological Library Association Borrowing Program, which says that you can go to all of these libraries and use their resources as well. Again, it's helpful if you wanted to go to, like here they have a map, and theirs is across the nation. And you can zoom in, find the ones closest to you. Again, there's numbered in the Kansas City area. There's also a list off here to the side. This is all free because you're a Calvary student. This particular one, the ACL one, will require you to fill out a form and work with me for me to essentially, stamp it that yes, you are a student and you're in good standing here at our library. Thus, they will accept you at their library. But you're welcome to use that. And the courtesy card program is the other one we have. This one is mostly through UMKC, but they have a long list of schools as well that has the same thing. So essentially what we do is if you want to use another library, just come and let us know which one it is, and we will find the best one for you that it's like, here, all you have to do is fill out this form and you're good to go. Or here, you need to fill out this form, or hey, all you have to do is show up with your Calvary ID and they'll let you in. So we'll find because some of them appear, like we appear on all three of them. And there are other libraries that do as well. So there's lots of options for borrowing physical materials if we don't have what you need. And they usually have computers that you can just sit at and do some more research if you needed further databases or something to that effect. You can contact us directly through here. You can also use regular email, but this will go directly to my email and let me know that it was done from this page. So if you had any question or anything like that. Otherwise, my email is tiffany.smith@calvary.edu. This is a library staff. So there's 3 of us in there. We also have a student worker undergraduate seat. All right, so here at the top, we have the resources that Calvary pays or subscribes to, or whatever it be that we make available to you. So I'm going to start with the Calvary University online catalog, and this is where we're going to search for physical things. So this is what our catalog looks like. If you need the resource today, right now, I would recommend using this one because this is going to tell you what we have in our library right now. If you have more time than that, I recommend clicking on Mobius. So it's up here in the red strip. And okay, so here is where I can type in if there's a topic I'm looking for, an author I'm looking for, a title I'm looking for. I'm going to put in basic theology and search. There's also an advanced search if I want to do an advanced search. So when I bring up basic theology, notice that this looks like kind of like if you've ever used any library catalog, it kind of looks the same. You have the left bar where you can refine things. Since I did a title, there's less resources. If I would have done a subject like faith, we would have had so many resources, which of course is not a narrow enough topic. But there would be so many resources that you could work with the refines. Here in Mobius, you're going to have book journals. There are things like ebooks in here, but we don't have access to them. That is, some schools have put their ebooks into Mobius, but you have to have a student ID and password at their school to use them. I'm not sure why they put them in Mobius, but they do. We don't do that with our ebooks because they're not available to anyone but our students. So limiting the book journal can be helpful. All right, so if I'm looking for basic theology, I have to, of course, be sure that I have the right author. I'm looking for, of course, Ryrie's, so I'm going to have to look down through it. I can see that there's a 1999 version. There's also a 1986 version, and I can click on it just like you would any other library, and it'll tell me more about it. So it'll give me a summary. Most entries should have a summary to help you decide if you really want this book. It tells you a little bit about the contents and who has it and if it's available.
Do most have a table of contents like that one?
It depends on the library itself. Here at Calvary, we put in as much information as we can. Most of the time, if it's not a really, really old book, all that information will be there. Yes.
Kind of a question for Mr. Johnson, this one. So when we do our bibliography on this one, if we were supposedly ordering a book, would we use this and do this for a bibliography?
Yeah.
Since we're not actually.
Are they cited?
Second question on that then is,
I mean,
obviously we're not
what
reading.
you're
it.
asking is, I'm going to find this volume out there. We don't have it in our library,
Right.
and so I'm going to get it. You're going to take the bibliographic information from it and then put it out to the side.
Okay, because we wouldn't have
library
pages written, obviously, or we're not gonna be reading that book because obviously we're not
Nope.
reading them. So, okay, just want to make sure. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Just
No,
know that
absolutely.
you know how to find them
Okay.
and get them.
Where is the bibliography?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, where the bibliography information is.
Okay, so up here, we can get the title, the author, the year, the press.
Okay.
Pretty
it's
press.
all there.
It doesn't have the page numbers if you're gonna need the page
That's
numbers,
okay,
but you
yeah.
can see there's 655 of them if you needed that. Although for a book, you wouldn't need that. That's for a journal. Never mind me. That's journals. So yes, so it should have all the bibliographic information that you should need for it. So you can certainly do that. If you did decide you wanted to order it, you can just click on request it. You're going to need to find our library. Fortunately, we're high on the list, so we don't have to go far. Click on Calvary and we'll submit it. Then you're going to put in your name and your barcode from your Calvary photo ID. If you do not have a Calvary photo ID, you will want to get one. To do that, email daniel.huxman@calvary.edu in IT. He will get you one. He'll probably have you send him a headshot of some sort that he can put on the ID and he can get it to you so that you can start using it if you'd like to order books.
And would these come to your office?
And it'll come
or-
to our library.
Sure.
And then you can pick them up at any time. If for some reason the library hours do not work for you, we can coordinate a way to take care of that. Like maybe if you were coming to class at 6 o'clock, we could coordinate with whoever your professor was and get those books to him, and he could get them to you when you came to class that night.
I didn't say earlier, but one of our students is overseas.
Mhm.
What you're introducing, he has
So
access
for
to.
Mobius,
and he
he
does
would
not.
not. But for the electronic resources, he will.
Yeah, now he could find titles and maybe he could find
Absolutely.
it in his country,
Potentially.
wherever he's at. Okay.
Potentially.
cool.
Potentially, yes. If it's available in his country, absolutely. Yes.
Is he Taiwan, did you say?
I don't know where he's at. He didn't get his intro made. His son's got to help him. That's what he was saying. So he'll get it done. We can do it next week.
And okay, so now I'm going to go back to the thing. So let's say that I looked up my topic and I was not happy with any of the resources. I can switch over here. Up here in the right corner, there's Prospector. And this will switch me over to Colorado's page. And now I'm in Colorado's system. And I'm just going to click on the first one and pretend that's the one I want, so that you can see that when I click on it, it still has the same requested. It still looks the same here, although they don't really have much of a summary here. And you can see that it is available here at Colorado Christian University. You can request it. They'll send it to Calvary. You will get an email when it's available for you to pick up. We'll hold it for 7 days. And you can come anytime the library's open. Or like I said, sometimes with the evening students, they've contacted us and say, hey, I'm glad my book's in, but I have class in the evening and I can't get there because I work full time during the day. So we'll coordinate with Dr. Dodds or Dr. Kamaki or whoever it is and say, these books are for, Dan. And he's coming to class tonight, and just hand it off to him. And they'll check out for 4 weeks. You can return them in the library book drop anytime. It is open 24/7 on the outside of the library door, which is that way. Think about which way I was facing, which is one street that way, next to that way. Yeah, whatever. I'm all confused of where I am. Yes, it is that way.
You don't know where the building is? Joe?
Yeah. So if you go out of the Sabre parking lot and take a right, at the next street, you'll take a right, and there'll be a parking lot on your left, and we are the brick building that will be right in front of you.
I can find it.
So yeah, so there's a book drop on the outside wall. Just toss them through there, and we'll get them the next day. Not a problem.
If you get to the driving range, you went too far.
This is true. That's right. Don't go golfing. Sorry. So this is a basic overview of how Mobius works. If you've used any kind of public library before, it's kind of the same idea. All right, so now I'm going to go back to here and click on the Atla ebook lending program. So I'm going to show you some ebooks. This is a way that we have. This is also a consortium, which means it is a bunch of different libraries that have come together to purchase resources. So you will notice that there are things that Calvary may not have purchased, but they're all here for you. You do have a login for this. Your email address is your username. I'll bring this up so you can see. So first you'll select your library, Calvary. Your username is your Calvary email address. Your password was set by you, hopefully in your very first cycle here at Calvary. If you don't remember what that is, you can send me an email and say, I do not remember what my password was. I can get a hold of Atla and say, please send whoever it be a password reset email. You will receive one in your Calvary email, and you can reset your password that way. So I'm just going to, this also works kind of like a library catalog. It also has like just arrived, most popular, most visited. So there's a number of commentaries as well as other libraries. So here's a list if you wanted to see who the libraries are that subscribe to this. So here's everyone who participates. So you'll see they're from a variety of theological beliefs. All right, so if I click on one, let's just say this Acts one here, you can see sometimes there's a little blurb about it. You can borrow it, you can preview it. So we'll do a preview here. And it flips just like a book. So there's the copyright page, so everything you need for that. See the contents. And if I had the whole book, I could click on these to go to all the different chapters. I'm not sure how far it's going to let me go since it's a preview. Okay, it does let me go this far. So you can read here. And then you can do some readability settings if you need it larger, smaller, whatever it be. Some of them have additional features where you can do like highlighting or making notes, things like that. And you can also borrow. The borrowing will last 14 days, and at the end of the 14 days, it'll automatically return. You can take 2 at a time, and if you want to return them early because you want a different one, you are able to do that by going into your account and returning one and saying, I'm done with it, and then you can go immediately check out another one, so that you only have 2 at any given time.
It's just those books there.
No, there are many more. So if I do a search for, I don't know, Timothy. All right, so if I do a search for Timothy, I can get all kinds. So over here on the left-hand side, I can be more specific with my topic if I want to. And I can, make it theology or Christianity, history, whatever it be. And so I have all these different things. Most of them, since I put in Timothy, is going to be commentaries, but they are here. So no, there are a lot more books. Yes.
I have one that says place a hold.
Okay, so just like physical books, if the book is out of the library, you have to place a hold because Dr. Dodds has it and you want it, right? So you put a hold, so then Dr. Dodds finishes out his term of having the book, he brings it back and it goes.
Oh, these are
directly to you.
electronic?
So with ebooks, it works the same way. It's
Really?
like a physical library, but in ebook form. So if it is
Wow,
checked
I
out,
didn't know that, but you could have multiple.
it sure does. So for example, if I looked at Timothy, there are 128 titles that correspond to Timothy, and only 67 are available right now. Because the other 75-ish, I'm not going to do the actual math, but 75-ish are already checked out to somebody else. Whether it's a Calvary student or a student at any one of these libraries.
If I put in one Enoch, and there's only one book, and it's borrowed.
So you can place a hold on it, and it will come available to you as soon as it would be ready, which would be a max of 2 weeks because each person can only have it 2 weeks. But if they checked it out 5 days ago, well, they're already 5 days in.
And they can't renew?
If there's a hold on it, no. If there's not a hold on it, you can. If you mess up and miss your hold and it automatically returns and nobody else had it, you can just get it right back. Just go right back to it, look it back up and say, borrow. But you would have to catch it before the 2 weeks ran out. And it's down to the minute. You check it out at 1:03 p.m. on a Thursday. 2 weeks later at 1:03 p.m. on a Thursday, it's disappearing. So it's very exact as to when it's going back.
Print screen
Right.
a lot.
If you go into your account, it will tell you exactly when everything will be disappearing or if your holds are available or anything like that. Any other questions about the ebooks?
Can I
Yes.
just ask a question? Sean, you're seeing all this in Teams, right? As she's
Oh, I'm
going.
not sorry, sir.
Oh, okay. No, no, no.
I'm into the page. I'm not
That's okay.
following.
her, yeah.
I'm following her, sir. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Is it on Teams? I hope it's on.
Well, we're recording in Teams.
Hold on.
I'm trying to learn.
Yes,
Because I'm.
Yes, okay, perfect.
So
Yes.
where she's at is where you,
I can see right now what she's at right now. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Split
Is
it.
that because you loaded everything before you started sharing?
No,
Your
I
screen?
clicked here.
You click
I'll
sharing.
stop sharing. And then what I
When you want to share,
share a screen window or tab, and then Hilda Croker
but see,
Library.
all those are loaded up. See, that's where I think I'm missing.
So I'm
out.
sharing this one, but then whenever I click on other things from here,
Oh,
Do it
It's
but you
again.
just
Right.
went, you just went to a tab. There's like 3 different.
yeah, I picked which one I
So if
want.
you go to Calvary or whatever, the Calvary University online catalog,
Go ahead, Tiffany. Do what he's asking.
no.
No, it's not sharing. Oh, that's not good.
So all these things you're showing on outside is not showing up.
No, it's not showing. Okay, well then let's stop sharing. Then I want to share my screen. Oh, here we
either
are.
video- I've always gone to entire screen. Yeah, that's what you see.
There we go.
And you gotta share it down there. But then as you click from
Okay, now
tab
is
to
it shared?
tab, is that the
I,
same?
we'll try it again. You're on that page right there. Yes.
Go to another tab.
Okay. Yep. All
Okay,
the tabs are showing up.
perfect.
All
Okay.
right,
You might want to go
okay.
through and close some of your
I'm
tabs out.
learning.
Might
I
want to do
messed
that.
up last week.
Okay. So Calvary University catalog. Click on Mobius. I'm going to do this real fast, just so that you can see it. Type in your topic. And here's the books. And you can request it.
I just did it on my phone, by the way. It's real easy to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atlas ebook lending program. And type in your topic.
So I gotta work off of that.
Hmm.
You can borrow. You can preview.
That's all showing. You
Split.
got all your tabs up there on top anyway, so. all you
Okay,
can do is-
now you have like a refresher if you need to visually see.
Oh,
So I
this-
went through
this for-
each of those real fast. Okay, so now we will take a look at the ATLA Religion Index here. Here on campus, it's going to load right up. If you are at home, you will want to use the credentials that were sent out at the beginning of the cycle to access it. But if you're on campus, like I am now, it's not going to ask for further credentials. Yes.
Credentials change every cycle?
No, they're good for a year. So our username is Calvary U, all lowercase. And our password is capital C, capital U, 23-24, explanation point.
Will you send that out, please?
I can resend it out, yes.
But you send that to everybody, all students and faculty?
Yes, it's supposed to be going out to all students and faculty and everybody at the beginning of each cycle.
Oh, this cycle or like cycle?
Should be every cycle.
Not just the
I
start
don't
of the
think it's
semester.
after.
Yeah.
Then I will
Yeah,
let them know they need to do it again.
I haven't been here for 3 years and I'm
But
about
not-
done.
I haven't-
All right, well, they should, it comes from the Calvary receptionist is who it
Yeah,
should come
it's not
through. It
from
doesn't
the
come through me
Right.
because I don't have access to email.
That's not our procedure for how to.
Yes, the receptionist sends it out. So I will let them know that they need to send it out again. And it will have all the little steps of how you access each resource. So this one has our ebook collection, which has a very, very small selection of ebooks. But it is here. You can select that it does both of them. Otherwise, our Atlas Religion database with serials, I'll go ahead and just let them both see.
I'm in.
So this one looks like this. Since we are on campus, we are all going to be able to access without credentials. As soon as you leave campus is when they'll ask for credentials. So you'll be fine. So keeping with Timothy, I'm just going to put Timothy in here. Okay. So I have 15,000 results. Obviously, Timothy is not a good topic. Dr. Gods will be sending you back for that one. So I need to be, a little more specific, but I wanted to just show you, I like to get lots of results so I can show you all that you can do with it. So here you can limit to scholarly journals. Obviously, you always want to click on peer reviewed. So we'll want to do that. And that'll, of course, get rid of some. Now we're only at 8,000. How about that? So full text means I can read the whole article right now. If you don't click on full text, you may get some indexed articles, which means you'll have everything you need to make your bibliography, but you won't have the actual article. If you do find one, like, let's see, this first one here, notice the second one says PDF full text and the first doesn't. If you need this first one, because you're talking all about, character lessons for contemporary leaders, and you're like, I need this article. You'll want to request an interlibrary loan. To do that, you will want to email Ideen Anderson. That would be eidene.anderson@calvary.edu and give her as much information as you can. So click on the article or the index and as much of this information as copy this, whatever it be, give her as much information as you can. And she will go to other libraries and say, please, 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 would you send this article to me for a student? Most libraries are really willing to share information. That's kind of what libraries are all about. Everyone should have information, so let's all share it as much as possible. So unless it was really, really obscure, she probably can find someone. This also works for physical books. If you find one that is not in Mobius, we can do some more checking. You'll email the same person, Ideen, and she will look at a couple other places that only staff can get to and see if we can have it sent in from somewhere outside of the Mobius area. We've brought in some from like California or New York, or we've gone overseas a couple times, but those take so long that a lot of times it's like, but we give it a try. We absolutely will give it a try and see what we can do. Most articles will be sent to you Calvary email in PDF format most of the time. Physical books obviously will be a physical book to pick up at the library. So just send as much information as you can to her, and she will appreciate that. If it is available in full text, it will tell you. It'll either be a PDF full text or something else full text to let you know that it is in full text. And if that's the case, you still have all the same information, so you can still do your bibliography here, but then you'll have access to the PDF full text here.
Yep, that's what I just did.
And be able to read the whole thing.
And you can download it.
You can download it, you can save it, you can do lots of different things. You can print it to an extent. Due to copyright, depending how long it is, they might tell you, you get 10 pages, what 10 do you want? And then they kind of keep track of it. So you can't do 10 and then go back out and then go back in and do pages 11 through 20 and then go. They'll be like, no.
You can
Copyright.
download the whole article.
You can, what you'll do when you download it, it will download a direct link here and then you'll link right back to it.
There is a
So
way
you
to-
can't load that onto your own computer. So
Can you?
Yes, you can.
I've never
Yeah.
tried.
You can, yes, you can load it on, yes. Uh-huh.
And then you just transfer it over to like a Google Doc, or if you have a PDF converter, you can take it to Microsoft.
You
I don't know
can
anything
get
about
around,
that.
you can get around things, you can get around things.
But I wouldn't want to print the whole thing anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, most of the time you wouldn't need to. Most of the time you probably don't want to print it at all unless there was a page or two that you just wanted for some purpose, because it's available here online. If you wanted to further narrow your topic, you can do it here. You can knock out all the reviews. If you don't want reviews, you just want academic journals, or vice versa. You can look at your subject. If you're like, I'm having a really hard time, I know I want to talk about Timothy, but I don't know what, you can kind of look through some of their topics and kind of get an idea. Oh, I want to talk about, Timothy and the Ephesians or something, and that'll give you something kind of to bounce off of. So it can kind of help you with narrowing your topic if you're a little unsure of what you want to do, or at least get some ideas. Because if you then click on it and update it, then all of the articles should be related to only Timothy and what other thing did I click on? Ephesians. That's what it was. So as an example, so you can narrow things down.
Are you gonna show how to do cite?
So for citing, there are a couple of, I'm gonna bring up a full text since you would have to have a full text to cite it. So when you have an article here, over on the right-hand side, there is a place that says cite. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do too. Emailing, printing, OneDrive, etc. You can cite. Now, when you cite, be sure that you are picking the correct. If you scroll down through here, you'll notice they have a lot of different types of citing. So be sure, number one, that you pick the correct one that you're supposed to be using.
It should be Chicago 17.
And you can use this, but also double check with your notes, because it is possible. It's a computer, it can mess up. So double check. I mean, it's a great starting place that you don't have to do it from scratch, but then just double check your notes. Did it get the, periods in where it's supposed to get? Am I supposed to use this, or am I supposed to use something else? Because sometimes it'll say, oh, you're supposed to put the whole website link there. And sometimes it says, don't put the website link, do this. So don't just copy paste it, but it is definitely a place you can start and not have to do it from complete scratch.
For us, Turabian's not listed, just Chicago. 17?
Correct. Turabian is not listed. So Chicago is a great jumping off point, but if there's anything different, you're going to have to change it for
There's just a
Turabian.
few every once in a while you run into something, but go to the Chicago.
Yeah.
You use the Chicago 17th then, sir? That's what
Yes,
asking.
yeah, but technically our Turabian 9th is what we're doing for the class.
So
So
you should have.
come back and confirm with the Turabian.
Yeah, because there may be a period moved, or use a
Yes.
comma instead of a colon or something like that. But it at least gives you the information. You can kind of pick it out, especially if you're like, I'm not sure what the top, what the title is or what the journal is, and you can at least kind of come through here and it kind of picks it out and kind of shows you what that is.
It has it all on there.
And
Yeah,
yes, and it has it all that you can pick it out here, and
Yeah.
they here in
It's
EBSCO
good.
label it really nicely
They do.
so that you don't have to be like,
Use it for-
who is the author? Who is?
Use it more than.
You see the title here on Turabian, Chicago Style for Students and Researchers. So this
Yes,
is just a-
Traven, yeah, derivative of.
instead of the
Chicago.
huge 17th version, which is really a good volume if you ever want to do more.
All
intense reading.
right. So does anyone have any further questions about using EBSCO?
I'm very familiar with it.
I say, yeah, a lot of times people are familiar, so I'm like, just give you a brief overview of how to use it in case you haven't. I forgot that I didn't right click it. I might just go back.
Academics.
So if I go directly to library, it bumps directly to here. And now I will click directly on resources, and it will jump me down automatically to here, which is very nice. Thank you to Adam. So the next one I want to show you is the Galaxy Theological Journal Library, and this is in Populi. Okay, so does everyone know your Populi credentials? Awesome. If you do not, you'll want to get a hold of IT and they can get them to you because this is the only way to get into Galaxy.
Yes, I do. I have mine, because mine's automatically saved.
Yeah.
And it is a phenomenal
And it
site.
requires the passcode, so give me just a minute.
Oh, yeah, because you're not on your computer.
Yep, I was like, wait, I never have
And
to
that
do
thing
this.
don't always work.
No,
all
I
right.
do have to do this.
Yeah, they just started and it drives me bananas.
Okay,
Oh, the authenticator, half time it doesn't work.
Yeah.
all right, so now that we're here, I'm on the home page and permanently on the home page. There is a ProQuest Research Library. This one is one that you wouldn't really use. Yes,
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore. I've tried
it
it.
doesn't work anymore.
No,
It
it's
was-
bad. It hasn't been. How's that? See, it's like a darkened color. You can't do anything to it. I don't know what's been going on with it.
Well, this is,
Oh, it is here, but it sure in heck wasn't from
Go
home.
and do it.
No,
I will have to ask Aaron about that because it should be working and it should be working from home.
yeah, it's
Maybe
not.
it's,
I don't know why.
Huh.
use ProQuest. Oh, yeah.
So ProQuest, with the undergrad students, we usually tell them,
Oh,
use Galaxy for Bible, use ProQuest for everything else.
Hmm.
You may find a reason to use ProQuest. Usually, if you're doing anything with Bible topic, we would recommend using Galaxy and the Atla Religion Index as opposed to ProQuest. But do know that it's here. And if you somehow needed to bring in some kind of literature or science or something like that, this is what you would want to use, would be ProQuest. And I will just,
Counseling courses.
yeah, you can use that. So I'm just going to put in counseling. Great, huge topic, but just to show you that it doesn't look all that different from EBSCO. It's used the same way. There's a full text here. You can limit it to peer reviewed. You can limit it to full text. It's really a lot like EBSCO, but it's not one that you would normally want to use for a Bible because that's not what its focus is. Its focus is more on a general education type courses. But it is here should you need it for whatever you might need it for. The Theological Journals by Galaxy Software is one that you might want to use. This is a conservative theological database. Calvary's Journal is in here as well, and our display journal on biblical authority. Not all of them yet, but they are
We're
there.
building it.
Where's
So-
the topic search on that now? I noticed that the other day. It used to have one up at top and it doesn't have that topic. search
Okay,
thing
so
on
it defaults to a list of the journals, but then over on the right-hand side, you will want to search journals. So search journals is where you do your search. It kind of starts to
Okay.
look like a journal or
it.
a,
Used to have the window up there. Now it kind of.
yes, they kind of move
Hmm.
things around sometimes. So search syntax is helpful if you have not used Galaxy before. Search syntax is kind of like, here's how to use the database. And they have a link down here that will tell you how to use like Boolean operators, which is combining two terms together. If you're talking about Timothy and Paul, you don't have to look up Timothy and then Paul. You can Timothy and Paul type of a thing. Tells you how to do grouping. There are a lot of things you can do. I usually recommend try one or two first, and as you use Galaxy more, you can add in more things. You can add in range searches and proximity searches, things like that, because it would be overwhelming to try to sit down and use all of these all at the same time. And they're not applicable to every search. But just as an example, here's some that they do. They show you a proximity search. So here they're looking for the word Spirit, Old, and Testament to be within 10 words of each other. So it's kind of like searching for an idea versus a specific topic or a specific title or phrase. It's an idea. Obviously, sometimes you'll get things that you're like, it's just odd that they were 10 words apart, but it can be helpful to find an idea.
When you go back to search journals to use
Uh-huh.
that? Okay.
Yes.
So how do you get there?
Okay, so when we go to Galaxy, we will land first at search journals. It'll land here. Then here's the menu on the right-hand side. So search syntax
Okay.
is where you can find the instructions. If you're doing a specific verse, you can do search by verse. So if I was doing, I don't know, Genesis 1:1. Oops. Obviously not every article is going to be about Genesis 1:1. But I can kind of find, here's Genesis 1:1, Genesis chapters 1 through 11, Genesis 1:1 through 3. So if you have a specific verse you're looking for, you could do it this way instead of for doing the search journals way. And here they're looking more for scripture references versus a topic or idea or something like that. Yes.
Are we seeing titles? Oh, yeah, it does. say
This is the title,
Excuse me.
the title, the author, and their
It's not just a
ranking.
search in the document.
No, it's not. It's the title, the author, and their ranking is, this is the database guessing how helpful it will be to you. I usually say take ranking with a grain of salt. I mean, a big number is better than a small number, but I mean, this one has an 80, and maybe you were talking about modern myths in Genesis 1. And so just because they said it's an 80 doesn't mean it's an 80 for you. So ranks kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Can you go back to search journals? Hit
I sure
search
can.
journals, and then just put in like Rapture. Just put Rapture in there.
So when I bring it up, so here, their things are a little bit switched, and this one doesn't have all of the information that EBSCO has with narrowing topics. This one is run by one gentleman, and so he has this available. But we do have it's kind of a new program that we're starting, but it's not really new because we've always done it, where we're going to have research assistants. And Ideen Anderson's going to head that up. And so basically, if you need help with research or learning how to use Galaxy or anything like that, you'll set up an initial meeting with her and let her know, here's what I need, here's what I want, and then she can work with you. Whether, like I said, whether it's learning how to use Galaxy, whether it's, hey, here's my topic, can you help me find some sources? Here's what I've already found. I need some more help. This is aimed mostly at the upper level classes, so graduate and PhD. It's not, we're not leaving out the freshmen and, the other undergrads, but they're welcome to participate. But this is kind of aimed more at, here's higher level research, here's some sources, here's how to find more sources. So that is definitely available to you. An email will be going out next week announcing this.
This is a couple years ago.
So, so it's something we've always done, but people seem surprised about it. So we're like, well, apparently we need to make it more official and let people know that this is available to you. Because yeah, it's not as well known, I guess, as it was even 5 years ago when it was like, well, of course we do that. And now people are more surprised and we're like, okay, I guess we need to announce that this is something you can do. So over here, if they have a filter by journal. So if you happen to know that, Emmaus Journal has really great articles about the rapture, you could click on the Emmaus Journal, and then all of these would be from the Emmaus Journal. Most of the time, you may not know what journal you want. You might not particularly care what journal it is. You want the one that best applies to your topic. But the numbers in the parentheses tell you how many they have. So 498 all the way down to this one has one. You can filter by an author if you're like, oh, I really like what Robert Thomas says about the rapture. I want to read what his articles are. So this could be helpful to you if you're looking for a specific person or a specific view, and you're like, oh, I need to be sure that Bruce A. Baker's view is in my paper, so I want to get his feedback on it, and it'll go all the way down to, he's got 2.
He's got an interesting dispensational.
Yeah, so it might be. So with this one, it's a little more open. You can see right here already some of the information for it. I'm just going to pretend that this is the one we want. So up here is the stuff that you would need to cite it. So we have the journal, the volume. Now, one thing I will point about the volume, the way Galaxy is set up, because it's one individual person running it, he sets it up to where to tell the computer or the database to organize things by putting BSAC or whatever the journal is. He always has an abbreviation to help it keep its stuff in line.
Idioms.
Basically. So when you're citing the volume number, this BSAC is not part of the volume. The volume is 134, the issue is 536. Okay, so you will notice that in Galaxy. You won't notice it anywhere else. So skip the abbreviations. They will always appear, but if you put down BSAC 134, Dr. Dodds here is going to go, BSAC, what? And then probably eventually figure out what you're talking about. Be like, why is that there? Well, because it was copied directly from here. This is usually something that undergraduate students do a lot. I always point it out because it's something you should know. The article is here. Some people like the article written out like this. Most people like to click on the Adobe Acrobat and you have the whole thing in PDF. Here you can save it, you can print it. There are no copyright restrictions at all. The information for citing, again, is at the top. The one thing to pay attention when you're doing articles is just because up here the PDF says it's page 1 of 7 does not mean it's on page 1. It is on page 299. And just because it's on page 299 does not mean it's ending on page 206. Because the pages of a journal are different, it ends on page 313. Okay, so be sure you do get your correct page numbers because in journal articles, you do need the page numbers. So just pointing that out because sometimes we get really caught up in, okay, it's 7 pages, page 1 through 7. Oh, I cited this. It's on page 2. No, it's on page 302. Okay, so just to remember to pay attention to that. But yes, you can print it, you can download it. You can do whatever you want with it once you find the article that you're looking for. All right. So any questions about Galaxy? Okay. Then I am going to go back here and show you. So those are the resources that we in Calvary provide for you. We also have a list of websites. It's also in the resources area. It's underneath these ones. We have websites and they're divided by topic. So some of these may come in handy, be helpful to you. Like we have Bible study, Greek and Hebrew tools, some Bible study resources, places you can find books and journals. All this stuff is going to be websites, open access. So you can access it without any problems, but sometimes you don't know where to start. You're like, I know I need some Bible study resources or, you know, Greek and Hebrew tools or Christian literature, you know, whatever it be, English and writing resources. Purdue OWL's here in case you need that for formatting. They don't have Turabian though, but it also is another place you could jump off. Like with Galaxy, they don't have the citation available. You could use the Chicago and then use the Turabian to double check yourself. Local public libraries, sometimes they have additional resources, databases, things like that, that you could, once you get a card, you could access it from home. So here's the localish or localist public libraries. There are, of course, many beyond here. Open access materials. These include journals, books, all kinds of things. Kind of, we have in parentheses kind of what it might most be helpful for. Open access dissertations, search engines. If you're looking for more scholarly search engines, here are some examples here for articles or books, academic resources. You know, science. So we have like Answers in Genesis on here, encyclopedias and things like that. More theses and dissertations. Library handbook, in case you needed that, at the very bottom. So these websites may be helpful to you. It depends, of course, on what your topic is. But some of these may be helpful to you as a curated list of websites. Of course, you're not limited to them. And if you ever find one that's like, hey, the library should let people know this is here, send me an email. Drop it right in here and say, hey, I think you should add this to your list of resources. You might find something that we should, and we are definitely happy to do that. We've had a couple students go, hey, how about adding this one? And we went, oh, that's a really good one. We should put that on there. Because between us 3 people, you can't catch everything. So we love to have additional assistance. All right. So that is what I have for today. Do you have any questions about any of the resources we have available? How to access? I will send out an email. I'm actually going to do it right here. Resend resources. All right. I'm going to send it directly to myself. And I will. And that way I can work on that tomorrow. All right. So there's how that works. It's submitted and it is waiting in my email currently. So I will send that back out so that everybody has it. And if you need anything else, you're welcome to, again, email me from your Calvary email, put it in this page, and I'll be happy to do that. Contact Ideen if you want any help with ILL or research assistance.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy to do it. Let
Yes, you
me
could close
close my million tabs here.
Yeah, right.
Dr. Daw's gonna get there.
Now, leave Teams up and we'll just keep it.
I will
running
leave
there,
Teams up.
recording it.
I will log out of this one
Yeah.
before Aaron comes after me.
Anything that you have.
And I can stop sharing. So now we are back
That's
to,
it.
back
Thank
to
you
here.
very much, Mrs. Smith.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's
Happy
take a
to
break.
come by.
Everybody.
All right.
Yeah,
Break
Everybody
time.
at that time. Go home to
Oh,
your family.
my goodness.
Will do. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, let's take a stretch break.
Okay, I did some research while listening to her. My topic is not gonna be a good topic.
It's not? Why? You couldn't find anything or what?
Second Temple Judaism, there is nothing out there.
Oh,
I'm
shoot,
sure
there's gotta be something.
out there.
There is.
Yeah, I don't know of it, so I'm not a good resource, but.
I just did everything we were searching in.
Yeah.
I would type in Second Temple Judaism.
Huh,
Doc probably look at a different terminology.
yeah, I was just
Probably
thinking,
do, yeah.
play with some
And
different
widen
terms.
it up a little bit. That's what I do, is I widen it up and then I end up narrowing it down later.
Yeah. Well, I only know of 2 books right now that came from Second Temple.
Were you able to grade our exercises too? Were you
Matt,
able to do
please.
that
No,
too?
I haven't done that yet.
The one
Sorry, I'll get you.
No, I just wanted to know if I'm on the right path and doing
Yes,
the word study.
I'll let you know.
Complete
That's my Friday task usually,
Yes.
Enoch is.
so,
Yeah, you just sit there and go, is that what you really want? It's like, well,
yeah.
no,
No, I'm gonna get to this one, but then.
Okay,
I understand. Yeah, that way.
With our search
That's why I
out.
started reading the book.
yeah.
Matter of fact, I got one on it, and you saw my topic. It was the funniest thing.
It's
No,
My
not
wife got left the
bad.
book,
Yeah.
and my wife is an
But there's
avid reader,
controversy
and
over
she got this
Enoch
book. And I'm telling
Some
you
say
what,
it was written
if you haven't read this book, it's actually a
during
good book
Second
to read.
Temple
And
or that it
it's
came
in line, trust me, it's.
after.
And the book is
Because he
The
talks
Return of the
about.
Gods by Jonathan Kahn. I heard somebody
Didn't
talk
call
about
him
that
directly
lately.
by name.
It's actually a really good book.
Because
it or
what's
not-
it dealing with? What's he dealing with?
Oh,
Dealing with basically.
It's a
looking at-
contemporary thing, if I remember right.
Correct, very, matter of fact, 2022, very current. What he's doing is he's taking basically, my subject was on the vacuum. I had no idea this guy's written something very, very good on it. I'm gonna look more at the Antichrist's entry and stuff like that. I think you kind of deem that from there a little bit. But it's basically taken, Baal and Israel, the downfall of that, and how, when Christ entered the scene, Baal went from not only not even being Israel, from not even being the Gentile world. Well, now that the vacuum's there, it's the return of Baal, and then 3 of them, basically, it's the destroyer. It's kind of called the Dark Trinity. And one of them's Baal return, and really, he's got some really good stuff on it, on that one. Asherah's return, basically, and
There's nothing new under the sun. Satan's,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
devious, but he's not original.
But it's really unique on how he's showing these. The author shows a very candid look at basically showing how these have entered modern society with a different look to them, but basically the same things, the same sexuality, intoxication, everything of Asherah, and then everything of Baal, the same types of
Sin.
different stuff, same sins. But it's really very, I would never have thought of looking that way until I read it. I was like, it's actually a very interesting way. He backs up with some scripture, but you're still looking a little bit, looking at it from, I'm a very critical reader when I read some of
Good.
that stuff.
Good.
It
Sure
should
we all
be,
need to be.
very much so. But it actually does a really good job. It's something I think you'd perfect timing right now.
Yeah, right, that's what I've heard somebody say. He's trying to help us with the times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I had not heard of it myself, that book, before I was introduced to me through my wife. And my wife was asking me, and I said, well, let's read it together. So I said, well, let's do this right now. Right away. I'm one of those that kind of helps her along. She has to iron, sharpens iron. And as I'm reading it, I'm sitting here going, he's got it really good. I said, hon, he does this, he still definitely cross-reference everything he's saying biblically. And
Not this library.
very good.
Yes,
Just previous.
But it'll be good for the paper.
good.
Even though we're not gonna.
I've used
do
paper,
I will definitely.
I've never
be good
used
for the
our
research
library.
to actually show.
Yeah,
what
I've used
I'm
SC
talking
Host,
about.
I've used.
Class C.
I've used the one here at checkout. Mhm.
That's good. Never, okay.
Actually, we got the Zondervan exegetical commentary that he was talking about.
That's
book of
the part I
James,
was
because
saying,
preached
driving
that.
me bananas.
So I went and got it just.
As soon as I start typing, turn on
Yeah,
the
I mean,
changes.
they have a lot.
Yeah,
Is it
usually I hear it and feel it in my.
Hit verify quickly.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it to you.
Make sure it's there.
Yeah, if we didn't do that,
Yeah, I always have trouble.
Once I got my computer
Inserting-
set up, it was okay. And I have an old
No.
one. I had a
Inserting
call, I
aspects.
said, some of this.
Popularly still messes me up. I
I'm not
can't
real
get it at
familiar with
home. I get it, yeah, I've set it up, but I need to set it up on my home computer.
It's not
So
real.
I always, if I'm at home, shoot, I gotta open my laptop.
Yeah.
Get in the house.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on my old dinosaur there.
Yes. Dinosaurs work.
I got my new one.
Calvary.
So whose books are all of these?
Dirk Gramacki's.
They are,
Okay.
no, they're not all Dr. Gramacki's. We used to have a seminary library when I
Oh, okay.
first got here, and this is the room for it, and then it moved over there, and we had this as a classroom, then we moved it back, and now it's just not being maintained. Usually, it used to be in the past that the library maintained this,
Okay.
but people add things, like you say, Dr. Gramacki has added a whole bunch of his stuff that he's picked up, or things that he had that he doesn't want, in his home library anymore, I think is part of it. But it's not current, but it's here for anybody to use. Sort of like an open lending library type thing.
Yeah.
And we use it for classes, so I like to move it. I like to do this class in here so people will wander around and play with it.
So I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
And like I said, enjoy. It's a really good, I love that book. It opens the eyes up a lot. I know Dr. Dodds has read it more than once, probably.
What's that? What's that?
The Book of Enoch.
Oh, no, never read it.
Really?
No. There's a parts of the Apocrypha I've read, but not.
That's why I said that part.
No,
Yeah, but
shoot.
Never had.
And so you talked about that the other day. I go, I need to do that someday.
I've got a copy of it.
Yeah, cool. The whole thing. I
Yep,
used
yep.
two somewhere. Back when I was a kid, we had one of those big old family Bibles, and it had the Apocrypha in it. And I just never sat down with that because we were told that's not scripture.
I've really not done much with the Apocrypha. I've used it once or twice, but never. One of your files is not working in there, sir, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for the assignment?
Yep.
Yes.
Transliteration.
All right.
Yeah. Good call.
I'll help you with that.
I just clicked on that earlier.
860 just went over.
What's sir?
I thought you being in the Army would have heard that going over.
Oh, I ignore them now.
What do you mean, Norm? I mean, how many of them are around here?
You gotta realize I was at Fort Riley.
Yeah, but here you hear zero.
Well, yeah, but I don't hear them.
That was
I
it,
got
was it from
surprised,
over?
yeah, when he went over. Yeah, he did. That's what it just went over.
Well, the thing is, there's so much noise going on in here
Can't hear it that well.
that I can't hear.
Mhm. There's all kinds of, that's what I was wondering whose books these were. I can see where people have added too.
Yeah, Dr. Gramacki, I asked him Monday, he goes, yep, these are all mine. I'm like, they can't be yours, Dr. Gramacki, but that's okay.
Well, seriously, I have like a, Seventh-day Adventist belief book over there, and different things. So just, I think random stuff that,
Yeah.
has been added in. This is a fun one. I know that.
Yes, I have to go home now and try doing that. I haven't done the Teams thing where they have the recorder thing yet.
I did it yesterday.
The only assignment I haven't done yet.
Took me forever to figure it out. So I was logged in under my personal account on Teams, and I was like, nothing is here. I can't find it. Then I finally realized I was like, I have to log in under my Calvary account. So I had to sign out because I have a personal one just under my regular like Gmail account.
Mm-hmm.
So then once I signed out, because I was like, it's not here. I was like, it should be right here. And
So you're
it
saying
wasn't.
go in here, like I'm in here now.
So I went to my
Okay, open this up.
Yeah, if you go back to the like the home page, whenever you click on open it, it'll be on there. Mine's on there.
Okay.
Because it says like I started a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll figure it out.
It's not too bad, and he's got the directions on there.
Yeah, I saw that, you know, and the announcements.
Announcements, Yeah, so it's really
I just gotta do it when I get
crazy.
home.
Yeah, it's fun. There's like a 5-second delay whenever I start because I wasn't sure if it was recording, so I had to click on it again. I'm like, oh, it's actively recording right now. I was like, oh well, whatever. I was like, we're just going with it. So there's like that awkward pause at the beginning and at the end because I was trying to get it to close. But
Did you do both
I
of
get
them,
back up
the
there.
Greek and Hebrew, or did you do two separate?
No, so on the Greek I had to do I did a passage analysis.
Oh, because you already have Greek.
Yeah, because I already used it. Yeah.
So you're doing, okay, you
Not that
are,
I'm
I was
like-
thinking everybody was.
Not that I'm really good at Greek. No, yeah, so I did the passage analysis of John
Cool.
3:5 because I was I'm talking about the new birth.
Yep.
And then that one was on there and I was like, hey, there we go. I'm like, that'll be fun.
It'll work.
So truly, he must be born again. I'm like, yeah, see, there we go. I'm like, somewhat relates. So,
Yeah, because I got most of them.
yeah, so if you go to assignments for this week, yeah, the transliteration. And then whenever you,
Or something else, I went like, oh, that's a, okay.
Yeah. whenever you click on that one, it doesn't pop up on ours.
Yeah.
For anything.
It's not opening it on us.
Oh, come on. I did that. Wrong thing. Now, which one did you say you clicked on, but it didn't have it? This one?
Transliteration.
Week 2.
Transliteration.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, let me look back and see. No, it's ready. It should be what date does it pop up?
Yeah, and then whenever you click on the
Yeah, October
document.
23rd, it should be there. Now
Yeah.
you say you clicked on it and it didn't
Mhm.
open up. I changed it, failed getting file.
Yeah,
preview.
that's what it does to me too.
Ah,
Does it get to you too?
I just changed it.
I just
Hang
checked it here tonight.
Yeah, I did right as we walked in.
Yeah.
on. Oh, I think I know what I did. I was looking at that when I looked at it. I think the file extension name is different, is what it is.
Oh, you mean for the handout for the transliteration?
Yeah, for the.
Good, because I couldn't find it
You
either.
couldn't get it either, so
No.
I had,
I mean, I uploaded it. It's in the course document, and it's right.
That's what these words are in my book.
But see, instead of LE,
That's
I
what they are.
renamed them language exercise. So
Yeah, I got one more to go. I can't.
Oh,
find it.
okay.
Is that one right there?
Yeah.
Can I just use a transliteration program?
David?
There is one.
Well, I know there's probably a
I
lot.
went to pronunciation.
And part of the course is to find tools to use it, so,
It has it.
you know, I won't know what
So
you've
then when you
done.
Scroll down into like.
The only difference is it's actually gonna use
Yeah,
all
I
the
don't
key
know.
figures for it, you know,
Click
obviously.
on it.
Yeah.
It's gonna have the accent marks and stuff
You
like that.
gotta watch, yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
and since
yeah,
I couldn't
that's
find your
all.
handout, I did it that way, because I
Yeah,
already worked
yeah,
that way. And I said,
yeah.
well, I'm gonna have to do it.
You're
So
getting ahead, so it should open up now.
I
Yeah,
have to
there
get
it
ahead.
is.
I'm a slow typer.
There, it's there.
I occasionally get in that third finger every once in a while, but otherwise I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're a one finger symphony. is that what you're saying?
Yes. I never took typing in school. I never did that. And it's funny, I can play a keyboard, but I can't type.
Oh, come on.
My wife just laughs at me because
that one's a different one.
she learned in Taiwan how to type, so she types 100 words a minute type
That
typer.
makes sense.
Now, how did Mrs. Smith get all the tabs
Try
at the top?
find it.
I don't know how to
Get
type.
it close as I can.
Is that in?
She was in Teams when she did
She was in
it.
Teams, but then all the tabs are across the top and she just
Oh.
clicked on a tab.
Oh, sorry. Touch me.
How
No, it's
long-
me.
Do I need to
Okay,
get
okay.
all that?
Okay, so.
When
it's-
she went to share,
Oh,
but then she had all the stuff that she could do down below
Yeah,
it.
see, yeah, they were on the left side and there's not everything there, but that's in Chrome tab. Now there's the Windows
oops, what did you?
See, I have always done in screen. Maybe I should do Windows and that would do it.
Okay,
Let's see
there we
what that does. No,
Oh, no.
I can't click on it.
go.
Why won't it do it?
You may want to just sit with her for a few minutes when she gets, when you get a
Now I
chance.
can't share here. What's wrong? I don't need to
Try
share
that,
the
see, will
audio.
that loud? No, that's audio. It's just audio.
There.
Why in the world? To share the audio tab, I don't need that.
There you go. Some, Lahim.
Do I need to click on, oh, I've got to click on a
Ah, yeah,
specific
click on the
window.
screen. Yeah, there you
All
go.
right, so I got to click on the entire screen.
So I don't know if it's on.
I'm just gonna do
I
it.
don't know. Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. I mean,
And if I did this, now, see, then I don't, but I don't have the
Yes, for me,
PowerPoint
I'm like,
tab on the top.
Okay.
So I probably have to stop sharing, go back. Let's see if I do Windows, if that'll open it up.
she hit entire screen, sir.
She did,
Yes, sir. Entire screen.
but then I don't see the tabs up here, like she had everything across the top. All right, so I gotta get my own routine. My own routine is.
Yeah,
not
I see them all, sir.
Maybe there's a drop down that's not showing. I wonder how's it not
You're
doing it on
seeing it in
his?
yours?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I see all those.
You think there's something missing? Is there another line missing in his?
No, I see his screen.
So
right
do you
there.
see the PowerPoint?
That? I don't see.
Yeah.
Because you haven't clicked on it yet.
Now, do
There
you
you go.
see that now in
Yes, sir.
Teams?
Yep.
Okay, there's big Chrome, but I don't have PowerPoint loaded up. I got it down here. Are you
There you
seeing the PowerPoint now?
Yes, sir.
You are.
It's not full screen because it's just like,
Yeah.
Would you see it there?
Screen, yeah.
If he can do that now, he can do it. Now
Yeah.
it should be.
All right,
Yeah.
but I want to go back first and talk about the assignment, so I gotta go back to this.
you might want to stop sharing, sir, unless you want to see what you're doing.
Now it's not sharing.
It is sharing.
It is, yeah.
Whatever you see right there behind you, sir, exactly what I see on my screen.
Good. Yeah, that's what
the
it
goal.
should be, but
Maybe.
now I'm all messed up. You got me thinking of too many things here.
Sorry, sir.
That's okay, that's okay. Initial bibliography is what I want to go to, this assignment. And introduce, since she just introduced the searching thing, the searching tool thing. You want to use more definite
Technical term.
terminology. By our schedule, by the class schedule, this assignment's not due next week. It's due 2 weeks from now. It's due Thursday, November 16th. The initial bibliography is what I've called it. I just want you to find these numbers of resources: 5 books, 5 journal articles, 5 dictionary, lexicon. You know, in languages, the lexicon's the same word as a dictionary, but it's a language specific.
Okay.
And you're trying to find, so it's a dictionary, but there are other dictionary, encyclopedia type entries that you want to get. I mean, it's one volume. A number of people have written different articles in them.
Could be a commentary thing, right?
Well, it's like a commentary, but it's not. Yeah, sort of, because you have the entry. In a dictionary, it's the word, and then you're going to reference the article about the word. But you want to look at the end of the article, like you've got Kittle behind you. If you look at that, that purple with the red line through it, you go to the end of the article and you'll see initials, KWH. Well, what does that mean? They've got letters look like 2 or 3 letters. You go to some, usually at the beginning or at the end, they're going to have a specific contributors to this volume or contributor to these volumes, and they're going to be entered by their initials. And you find the name, and that's the person who wrote that article about that word. Even though Kittle's the editor, he had a lot of other people writing for there. So that's true of any encyclopedia.
So the bib will be the guy who's writing that article, will be the start of the bibliography, obviously, and then
You start with the most specific. So I'm looking
Right.
at a specific word. I have the author who wrote that article about that word found in, and then you're referencing the bigger volume, which was edited by.
such and such.
Cool. Go into.
Why 5 dictionary lexicons for a paper? Why 5? Just
would you say Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi,
Wi-Fi,
Wi-Fi.
number.
It's just kind of
Well,
interesting.
just to give you some
It was
practice.
just to give
It just, I
practice,
pulled
okay.
it off the top of my
Never
head.
do that for
A wild hair.
Okay.
Could have done 3, could have done
Okay.
whatever. But I want you to start looking around. You know, when you end up with your research project, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 pages of references from a lot of different sources. So I want to give you a variety here. Didn't ask for any personal interviews or movies, or, you know, you could do a lot of types.
As far as online sources.
What are you looking for online sources? That's a good question.
Well, let me just give you a little tidbit here, and I didn't bring it in. Well, Mrs. Smith said at the CAC, the Clark Academic Center website, and I think we used to have a link through the library as well. It's in Canvas. Let me go up to the top of the announcements. Turabian Style Guide Addendum. Open this up. And what you're going to find, now this unfortunately is written off of the 8th edition. There's not a lot of difference with the 9th edition. I think they just want to make more money with it. All right, I'm going to scroll way down into this addendum to Turabian, but it's the 8th edition volume, so the page numbers aren't the same or whatever. Notice what you got here. These are examples. So if you're, this is new to you, Turabian formatting, so go back to this section and it's going to show, so it's going to start sample footnote and exactly what our notes bibliography. This is what we're using. N refers to a footnote, how you would do a footnote for a book with one author. Notice the page that you're referencing, 21. If it's a bibliographic entry for that, so you have the footnote, but then you're in a bibliography, and I'm asking for a bibliography entry. So you're not going to be referencing the specific page like you have up here. Page 21 is actually in the document, your research paper, and you're quoting on that that page of your paper. You're quoting from page 21 in that book. But in the bibliography, you know, you're not referencing the specifics. You're just referencing the book, so people can go find it. A lot of the same information until you start repeating footnotes, and then you lose information. So you go back here if you want to find that resource. But notice what we have here, and this is what I've listed there in the assignment. Just put it together. I'm not at this point worried about formatting. Yeah, get the information in there so you start working with your formatting for bibliographic entries. But I'm not wanting you to lay out a bibliography yet. That's not the purpose of the assignment. It's rather to start getting research and thinking about it and sources, and yeah, start thinking about formatting, because the purpose of this course is you know how to format a bibliography. You know how to use footnotes. But that's not this assignment.
The websites, we were both kind of asking the same question. What are you looking for online sources? What are you looking for?
Right.
What's your
Let me walk it through before I get to your question. Thank you. Keep it in your mind so I don't forget. So there's books. When you actually get in your bibliography, it'll look like this. You know, titles. The title of your paper has a different form than the titles, subtitles, really what they are within the volume. So you'd have bibliography. This would be the title. It'd be in bold, and it wouldn't be italicized. Then here's a subtitle: books. And we're going to go down. They'll show you different ways, different kinds of books that you're going to find. Article. Now they title it article or essay. Just give it a title. And I, for the assignment, had journal articles, or you could just have the word articles. That's really up to you as an author, but what you're trying to designate to a person who's trying to find things, notice, well, you don't see it, but you would alphabetize within that section. If you just listed everything in the bibliography, it'd all be alphabetized, but you know, help the reader out by going, oh, you just referenced an article. I want to get more information about it. So I'm going to go back to your bibliography, find it in the articles section of your bibliography, and it's alphabetized by author, usually, because you usually start with the author. And then we go down to here's journal articles. I don't know why they differentiated that, but article, essay, in a book, meaning a chapter. And now we've got journal articles. Then there's other kinds, primary sources. I'm not asking you to, or am I asking you to
lay out primary source. No, I'm not. I'm not. We'll talk about that here tonight before we get done. What that means. Dictionaries, encyclopedias, you could have two different entries. In this one, they put it together. Then we get down and you see the ordering. It starts with books and you end up with electronic sources. Now, what are electronic sources? Those are, you get a CD that has a gazillion articles on it. They used to have those things. And so you would reference the electronic medium. You have to read that through. Okay, so here's where they list websites, online databases. You could also call it online. So I wouldn't worry myself as a reader advisor, but they gave the title online or electronic rather. All right, you asked the specific question here. Let's go back to the assignment where I wanted to be. Oh, back at the. No, that's not it. I went to get out of this. Ah, shoot. Science. Are you still with me in Teams here? I flipped around a few places. Are you seeing the same thing there, Sean? Am I? Good, cool. Initial bibliography, here's the assignment. I don't have a handout for you to see, but you can see it here and find it. It's not due next week, it's due a week after. Should focus on primary sources, peer reviewed. So just like what Mrs. Smith was talking about, you want to go to the source. You don't want to read what somebody else said about it. Now we're going to come back and talk about this a little bit. Academic monographs, I mean, they self-wrote it, but it's academic. Exegetical commentaries, where they're actually dealing with the text. This next line, I need to change it. I've gone away from requiring you're not going to tell me how many pages are in each, just do a bibliographic entry. When I first started the course, we had a page number and just didn't seem to be beneficial. So don't worry about counting pages, just find the numbers of resources. We used to do this assignment a little differently, is what I'm saying, and I've not gotten rid of that line. For bibliographic entry, students will annotate the total number of reading pages. Again, that sentence doesn't apply. Here, designate at least one item that's borrowed via interlibrary loan. And after you make the bibliographic entry, just put in parentheses, I would get this through Mobius. I would get this through Atlaw. I would get this through, wherever.
So we don't have to do specifically Mobius. We can do Alpha or, okay.
Yeah, anything that you have to order, because I want you to go through the system if you've never done it before.
Okay.
Those of you that had, you go, shoot, this is Mickey Mouse. I've done this before. Type thing. And I want you to look to start building a bibliography where you learn what kinds of information, like we did in the exercise last week with a book. So 5 books. And what you're doing, you're going to take your topic that you dealt with for this week, we're going to talk about tonight. And now, all right, if I were to address that, which volumes would I go to look for information that would help me to interact with the topic, would interact with the problems relative to that topic, would help me to answer my research question, and maybe the book is a commentary by, like I had last week, D.A. Carson on John, or whoever else, a couple of you talked about 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, so who has written a commentary on that. 1 volume, same author. And, it could be an edited volume too, just any type of book. Then find some journal articles. Now I'm finding a book that has information, but it's just a part of that book. Now I'm finding a journal article that addresses, like Mrs. Smith was looking at, what about all this article on Genesis 1 verses 1 through 11? I think this is going to address not just finding articles, start finding articles that talk about your topic. Okay, so do your research. Okay, we're building it. You're not going to write the paper, but you're going to go through the activities if you did, and this is what you're going to do for any.
We're going to use these same ones though for our bibliography we're building.
Yeah, you're building it. You're starting here. Don't limit yourself to 5 if you find 6 or 7 or 8. Just keep adding them. Because at the end, I want you to have a bigger bibliography than just 5 each. But they're going to be very purposeful for your research, even though you've not technically done all the research yet, for sure. You're just going to, this is where I know I need to start thinking. Dictionaries, with this or a lexicon, what specific words rapture? Well, where would I find the wording and the background to the word rapture? You know, and so you're going to make a specific entry in a dictionary or a volume or an encyclopedia about that. I want to find Second Temple. And so you're going to go to, what was that one? Big one.
I'm in right now, Dictionary of Bible Things.
Yeah. And it would have an entry, Unger's Bible Dictionary. You know, there's one that comes off, it's a big volume, one volume. I was thinking of a multi-volume. It's not ISBE, it's International something, I can't remember. And then online resources, again, now you're looking for specific. Where are some good scholarly articles? Now here, I say, yes, you want to find somebody who's really interactive, not just some blog post. But every once in a while, you're going to say, no, Joe Schmotzkoff, Dr. Schmotzkoff, who's Pastor Schmotzkoff, you know, I want to interact with him because he said online, MacArthur says in this blog post, you know, sometimes those are good resources because you can interact with them. They put themselves in writing. So do it, but not Wikipedia.
Same with like
You know, we
Ligonier.
say caution.
Yes, I've used them for Ligonier. So like if they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
something, okay.
Yeah, so R.C.
Okay.
Sproul or one of
Yeah.
his people
Yeah.
made a comment there on
Okay.
his regular thing. Yeah, that would work. But you're wanting to do it topic specific, research
Google
topic
Scholars?
specific. Pardon?
Google Scholars.
Well,
Google
you're going to
Scholar.
find a lot of things through Google Scholar.
Yeah, I mean, are we allowed to use Google Scholar?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything to find the resource. Now you're looking for a quality of the resource. When I
Right.
find it. Wikipedia is not bad. It's biased with some of the articles,
Yeah.
but it's a great resource to start going because they got a bibliography at the bottom.
Yeah.
I've
I've
done
done
so
that
don't-
before, actually.
don't
Just
discount it.
bibliography and then-
Our problem is our college students, they stop there and stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be good, but
Hmm.
depends on the topic. You know,
I've
that you're
seen
finding there.
those. I'll use it.
At the bottom here, I've linked a sample syllabus, and at the end of his syllabus, Matt's syllabus, he's going to have his bibliography down there, so we can get it, how he's listed. Notice there's the title, bibliography, books. Now, Turabian now has this in bold, if I remember right, for the 9th, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
broken down journal articles and dictionary. Oh, okay, so he kept the same. Now he's got dissertation, unpublished works. And within that, a subcategory, periodicals. Maybe that should have been, no. Commentary, oh yeah, he's got several electronic sources. So you got an example there.
That's not mine.
No, it's my phone.
It's right there in your paperwork, sir.
Right there, that's right.
No, bring your hand back up, sir.
I'm on the podium.
Oh, there it is on top. No, shoot. And the problem with this phone, I can't shut it off. You're used to it. It just has to ring. Sorry, it's doing it.
It's a flip phone.
Yeah, it is an old flip phone. Well, we gave my wife
That's off.
I gave my wife the you know, smartphone because she texts with all the grandkids and everything. And hi, how are you doing? Yeah, a little bit more than I do.
At least it doesn't have an antenna that you have to extend. You're okay.
No, it doesn't. I'm not that big. Remember when they first came out, this big,
Oh, yeah.
like a walkie-talkie?
Oh, yeah.
The first guy I saw that had a cell phone, or it was a car mobile phone, and he had to bring it, and it was attached to the car and everything. But he was so proud of himself because it was a step in
It was right next to the 8 tracks.
at that point. All right, at the bottom of this, and I want to reference that for Li Xiong and for all of us here in Canvas, when you come to the module, the week, so we're at a specific class session 2, here's where I put the handouts. I'm going to try to remember to give you the handouts in hand so we can talk about them. Last week I didn't, but here are other ones that I'm going to give to you tonight. Mobius instructions. She didn't hand that to us, did she? No. I need to verify if that's correct from what she just said tonight. So, and then the PowerPoints are here, what I'm going to use tonight for research and then for the languages. Questions, anybody, as we look at Canvas? You find everything? Anybody get lost this week? You're trying to get around? All right, let's go to the PowerPoint. Yeah, and Sean, are you seeing this in Teams?
Yes, sir. Seeing that page right there.
Good, good, because that's where I needed to be. I want to
Just talk about research, just take our thinking about research another step. And then we're going to come back to the languages at that. At the end of this session, then we'll talk about research topics, just give some observations. And as I say with everybody, let's talk tonight and see what you're thinking and respond to anything maybe you can see in Canvas what I'm saying here. All right, significance of our research question. 3 different parts of it. I encourage you to use Li Shong. I mentioned in my response to you, I'm wanting you to use this grid in your response. You just give me a topic, flesh it out. I'm studying, or what I had in the other slide, I think the wording is just a little different. Fill that out, but use that format because I want to find out what, why, how, and I've added some other words here in this form of it. It's really a question, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the question, the problem. We're talking about, I've got a problem. It's usually what we think of. I got a research problem. Here, I'm putting it in the form of a question. I want to find out something specifically about the topic, and starting out with the topic as broadly as I think I need to. But as you start writing this out, you realize, boy, I need to be a little bit more specific with my topic, because I'm going to find out this aspect of it in order to help my reader too. And now here's the addressing more the so what significance, and we're going to address that a little bit more tonight. So what you did last week with the topic, you're going to take it a little bit further. If for some reason after our discussion tonight, or maybe after you wrote in your topic, you're going, yeah, I'd really like to do something different. Okay, do something different. But then settle real quickly so you can do the rest of this course. You're not going to, back with the Master of Divinity, we really try to emphasize for students that if you could, and I just heard Dr. Gramacki say it today, if you could in this class narrow down a topic that you'd probably feel energy for and stay with for another 2 to 3 years, Master of Divinity, 5 to 7 years if you're doing your doctorate, do that. Start thinking seriously now. If you know you're going to go on and do the MDiv, or you're going to go on and do a doctorate, maybe you could do it. They have another research course. You're going to have to wade through that. And in that course, they does the same thing. Because then you're down the road, and as you start writing papers for your courses, you go, I'm going to ultimately write a dissertation, write a Master of Divinity thesis about, could I write? And you talk to the individual professor and say, could I write on that topic? My wife got her master's here. It's in education department, but she wanted to do a specific theological question. So she dealt with our head of the education and said, I want to write a master's thesis. And my wife's a diligent one, 300 and some pages she wrote. Okay, study with it too. But she was eager. She knew what the topic was. She had energy, and she wrote a lot of her papers in other classes that eventually she added the material in or made it as an appendix. So do that with your topic. But for our purpose, for a course, get a good topic you can think through here for the next 7 weeks. What we have. Questions? Anybody want to just sitting there? Dr. Gramacki, to add it into, I was meeting with him today. We're wanting to publish the dissertations, and they're getting with this first cohort where they're going to be writing over this next year their dissertation. Unfortunately, one of the students says, I want to write on another topic. And he goes, you just made your life horrible. Because through the doctorate, and then they say, same thing what I just said, write your paper towards your dissertation so you're halfway done when you get to this point. Okay, that was his choice, and you could do that. I'm just encouraging you all, your goals here for your education. So make life a little easier, because it ends up quite often in the doctoral program, ABD. You know what ABD is? All but dissertation. You got all your coursework done, but you never wrote the project because it fizzled out or got too much energy, or life just got horrible. In fact, my wife threw me a party when I got done, not because I was done with my doctorate, but because I was back home. You spent a lot of time writing. All right, so we're wanting to narrow down. These are not only the development of your project, but of your own skills as a researcher. When you move from step 1 to 2, you're no longer just collecting data. College level, yeah, can you do some research? Yeah, you can do some analysis and critical thinking, but we're not having as much expectations at the graduate level, where you're able to process it. So you're moving now because I want to find out, so your question is very important when you get into research. You want to understand something better. When you move from 2 to 3, now you're going to deal with the why and the significance of it, and that's where we're talking here. From questions to a problem. Now I'm backing up. Yeah, understanding research problems. You can't just solve a problem that interests you. To make your research matter, you have to address a problem that your readers will want to have the solution for. And that's what we were talking about last week, where envision a conversation all the way through the research. What would my prospective reader ask about? Yeah, the professor. But boy, take it a little beyond us if you can and make it real life with people that are sitting there that need to have some solutions. So what should we do? Practical problems and conceptual problems. Now, do we deal with practical problems or conceptual problems at our graduate level here? Both, I think. The Master of Divinity thesis, many people approach it as just a conceptual, but really, the Master of Divinity here at Calvary, it's a ministry degree. It's what the MDiv is all about. At the dissertation level, you're dealing much more conceptual. It's an academic degree, but all right. So you have to think in the context. Practical problems, what should we do? Practical problems caused by some condition in the world that troubles us because it costs us time, money, respect, security, opportunities, even our lives. We solve a practical problem by doing something or by encouraging others to do something. Or we seek to eliminate or at least mitigate the conditions that create tangible costs. Now, when you're talking about a ministry studies degree, that's what you're thinking about. You're going to research why should the church follow, what are the biblical criteria, and I'm just bringing off the top of my head, what's the biblical criteria for church discipline? Okay, that's a college level paper, but why should we follow that? Okay, what are the implications of it? Where did the church, and so you're doing research on discipline in 1 Corinthians and a historical background and doing a dissertation on 1 Corinthians 5, the opening verses there where Paul's talking about it. But we would want you to add at the end, in your 4th chapter, you're giving a practical solution. So even here, though we're dealing more with conceptual problems, there's a practical, because we deal with life. God gave us his word, and we make theological conclusions to affect life, not just that's neat, let's go out to lunch and have coffee. Okay, we do that a lot, but hopefully it takes a little bit further. To know what to do, someone first has to understand something better. There's conceptual problems. Let me see if I have something. Yeah. What should we think? A conceptual problem arises when we don't understand something about the world as well as we would like to understand. We solve a conceptual problem not by doing something to change the world, but by answering a question that helps us to understand it better. And that's a lot of what you all had in your, which is no problem, please. It's not, but when we ask that so what question, yes, it comes back to so they can know the answer. Okay, but usually you want to address something broader. Okay, so I'm stepping back and forth one to the other. We usually answer these questions through research. The word conceptual describes the condition or cost or consequences, and I'm going to use those 3 words here for a second. The research refers to how we solve them. The term problem thus has a special meaning in the world of research. In normal life, we avoid problems. In research, we solve problems. We ask for problems. We look for them. all right, because we're trying to solve it. A topic is not a research problem. Topic, adult measles, a topic in the history department. Zeppelins in the 1930s, or for us in theology, the use of the perfect tense in John 5:24. Okay, that's a topic, but what are you going to do with it? The Ark of the First Tabernacle. Okay, good topic, but what else are we going to do with it? So the understanding of the common structural problems, I want to move to. Practical and conceptual problems have a two-part structure. There's a condition and then a consequence, or a condition and a cost. Those three words I introduced. The nature of practical problems have two parts. A condition, which can be anything that opposes a cost, such as, I missed the bus. That's the condition. The cost, I'm going to be late for work. I'm going to lose my job. All right, you see that. Readers judge the significance of the problem not by the cost that you, the writer, pay, but by the cost that they pay if you don't solve it. All right, so I look at the problem that I'm dealing with, the topic, and then the problem that I'm trying to address with it, and then I'm thinking of the so what. Am I a little bit more practical there? Well, what is it? Here's this social argument. As I refine my topic, using those three statements we had, and then I look for resources to help me answer that problems, or answer that question, solve the problem. Do you see where we're going? That'll help me. It'll help the reader, because then there's benefit for them. But then it's also helping me in my research. The nature of a conceptual problem. There are consequences and costs. There's a condition. The condition of a conceptual problem is always some version of not knowing. Here's an example. I'm studying stories of the Alamo because I want to understand why the voters responded in ways that serve the interest of Texas politicians. Texas politicians refer back to, remember the Alamo. Remember? When I went into the Air Force, everybody in the Air Force goes through San Antonio. So you see the Alamo there and you learn it. And so that's why I picked that topic there. This is the value of questions. They force you to state what you don't know or understand. And the two kinds of problems also have two different kinds of costs. The cost of a practical problem is quite often a tangible thing. What will happen if a church does not exercise church discipline? The conceptual one would be not a tangible as much as it is, it answers that ignorance question. Wow, well, what might be the conceptual problem with churches? All right, I'd still encourage you guys that nudge toward a practical application. It's the lack of understanding in our conceptual dealing with it, the problem. Throw back in just this material that I was going through for this lecture is they talk about pure research and applied research. You're going to hear that term. Pure research addresses a conceptual problem that doesn't have to bear directly on any practical situation. You're just doing research for research. Now, you're going to run into pure research. You need to do a study of people as they're responding. Now, I'm thinking of my wife's master's thesis here. She was dealing with, she actually had to go down and do some research, human research. She used the students here at Calvary and she got permission from the deans to go out and do a human research, and it was just pure research. And so she represented those findings, but then she had to take it beyond. And the applied part of it addresses the conceptual problem that does have practical consequences. You can tell the difference between a real and applied research when you look at the third of the three steps that define a project. So let me give you an example here. I don't have it on the screen. So listen up. The topic, I'm studying electromagnetic radiation in a section of the universe. Because, the question, because I want to find out how many galaxies are in the sky. Significance, in order to help readers understand whether the universe will expand forever,
or eventually collapse into a point. Now, that's way beyond what my interests are, that topic there, but there are those that are dealing with. That's pure research. Conceptual, or applied rather. I'm studying how readings from the Hubble telescope differ from readings from the same stars measured by earthbound telescopes. Notice a long topic statement. Because I want to find out how much does the atmosphere distort measurements of electromagnetic radiation. So you're studying one to find another, so that astronomers can use data from earthbound telescopes to measure more accurately the density of electromagnetic radiation. And that's applied because then they're also thinking of that, you know, how much is the ozone, and there's some other applications there. But all right, that's just to introduce where you're at. You're going to see people that are doing research. You're going to do reading about their research, and you just have to step back and say, all right, what am I reading here? What are the findings? What are they presenting for me? And how might that benefit me for my problem that I'm trying to solve? Connecting research to practical consequences? No. Moving on to finding a good research problem. I have another category there that I didn't address in my notes. How do we find a good research problem? Ask for help. Talk to colleagues, teachers, classmates, relatives, friends, neighbors, anyone who might be interested in your topic. Why would anyone want to be interested in your question, want an interest in your question? What would they do with it? What new questions? Remember, we were talking about questions. Bombard your topic with questions last week. And then talk to people, you know, and realize the different levels of response. Some people want to come back very practically, some people more conceptually. Look for problems as you read, and we were talking about that last time when you go through a theological journal, trade journal, the magazines, you know, even popular material. In your sources, where do you see contradictions, inconsistencies, incomplete explanations? Here's an example of a thing that you need to do. You go to the library or go into one of these dissertation or thesis databases on the topic that you're going to research. Go to the end of their thesis, the end of their dissertation. Here's the encouragement. Doesn't always happen, but it should happen. You should put at the end of your thesis, that last chapter, you know, a summation. This is what I didn't get to research, but it needs to be done. You go, oh, cool. Well, I'll take that topic and progress a little bit further. And that's what is the encouragement, and that's what's necessary in dissertations anyway. Not always at a master's level do you read that. But you go to the end, and they're going to tell you some things that they weren't able to deal with, or a problem that was left unanswered because it was beyond the scope of that research project this person's reading. Do that in our library with the material that we have here, but now we have the wealth of the world, so you can go and look at other people's research projects. Before you set out to correct a gap of misunderstanding, make sure it's a real one. You have to do a little reading. Read the last few pages of your resources. Look at your own conclusions too. As you're setting out your problem, you've got an answer. You've got a thesis forming in your mind. The thesis is a statement of truth, and that's a conclusion. Now you got to validate it. You validate it through your research, and then you write up your research and either prove it or you've revised your thesis because that was too broad. That wasn't near enough. That was the wrong conclusion. I found out it was really different than I thought. If in an early draft you arrive at an unanticipated claim, ask yourself what question it might answer. Paradoxically, you may have answered a question you hadn't asked and thereby solved a problem that you had not posed. Your task is to figure out what the problem might be and its relevance to your initial topic and problem statement, meaning stepping back, I've got to revise things in my paper, or I've got to say, I've run into another problem. Folks, here's another one. I addressed this one well, I think. You go answer that one. And so you're going to talk about when you deal with your conclusions. Learning to work with problems. The first question to ask about a problem, can I solve it? No, that's not the question. Will readers think it should be solved? I mean, we're going to get a lot of problems there. So the relevance not only gives you energy because you see an audience in front of you as you're doing your reading and you're writing and you're researching. Wow, and you can almost engage with them as they're thinking about it, and you want to try to do that. The worst response a researcher can get is, I don't agree. Not I don't agree, because people will not agree. Excuse me, I didn't say that right. People might not agree with your conclusions, but you still think they're right. You proved it. But I don't care. So coming back to that so what issue. So you keep that social contact going. From problems to resources, and now let's bring it back to the I had this information and didn't do it. Now we want to look at the resources that we have. Three kinds of resources. What's a primary resource? When I say that, what would you say?
Bible.
Pardon?
The Bible.
The Bible. Yep. Can I say that's a secondary though?
Are you
What do I
saying-
mean by that?
You mean manuscripts?
Yeah. I mean, can I read the original languages
Yeah,
that they were in?
yeah.
That's the primary source.
Mhm.
But yeah, the Bible's the primary source, but the more we can get back to the original, yeah, we want to do it. Pardon?
Septuagint.
Yeah. Right. A commentary. What kind of resource is that? Secondary. Yeah, it's a person's opinion, conclusion. Yeah, they're good. Maybe they know the languages. Yeah, they do. A lot more than I do. So I have to take their expertise. That's where you get trust in your resources, some confidence in them. Primary sources, though, these are original materials that provide you with the raw data or the evidence that you use to develop text and ultimately justify your hypothesis, thesis, claim. If you're dealing with John MacArthur's view of particular redemption, well, anything he wrote is a primary resource. Even though he's commenting on the text, you're looking for his comments about the text. Right? You hear the distinction? Now, if you want to address particular redemption biblically, well, then you got to go back and deal with the text, as far back as you can get. In literature or philosophy, theology, these are usually the texts that you're analyzing, and your data are the words on the page. Secondary sources are books, articles, reports that are based on the primary sources and are intended for scholarly or professional audiences. The field's literature. So we would go to our theological journals, our commentaries. Those are all of our primary places of going and writing, and those are the people that we should source. The standard way of framing new research problems is to challenge or build on the conclusions or methods of others as presented in the secondary sources they've written. And that's quite often what you're going to do. You're going to have, in your doctoral level for sure, you got to have a whole chapter of literature review on the problem. This is how Dr. Schmotzkoff answered it. This is how Dr. Lipowitz answered it, and you're going to be selective with that, even at that. How many people did they read and review? Okay, I've sort of got a group of people when I hear Dr. Schmotzkoff talking and a perspective there. And so I'm looking at the credibility of those people. Borrow evidence from secondary sources to use in your own arguments, but you should do so only if you don't have access to the primary sources from which the evidence was originally taken, or appear lazy or careless. Now we're going to talk about the use of people because you're going to look at people and go, I disagree with their conclusion. But everybody quotes them. So I got to deal with them and say why I think they're wrong. All right, so there's another reason for using that person who's dealing with the text. That's ultimately what I want to answer, but I want to show why everybody believes Dr. Schmotzkoff is right, why he's wrong, and explain why I think he's wrong. But then get past him and say, and here's the right way to see the text. At times, this must be how we argue because we have no access to the sources, meaning I don't know Akkadian, so I have to go with people that know Akkadian and can deal with it. Tertiary sources, what are those?
Well, third level, books, articles that synthesize, report on secondary sources for general readers. They're textbooks. Yeah, sometimes they're secondary sources. Articles and encyclopedias, including Wikipedia. Articles in mass circulation publications, Christianity Today. Those are more properly written. Yeah, they might be the person that we want to address, and they wrote in for the popular audience, not in an academic journal, but okay, their comments are valid then. In the early stages of your research, you can use tertiary sources to get a feel for a topic, and there's where Wikipedia. You don't know who really did the refining of it, but it might get you going to find other resources. There's what you're looking at. If you're making a scholarly argument, you should rely on primary and secondary sources because they make use of the conversation in which you're seeking to participate, is where you're going. At the end of, now here's where I'm not going to give you, I don't have a resource here. I'm looking on the wall. What might be a place I could pick up quickly? I don't see one. More like a multi-volume encyclopedia. You pull out those articles. Hunger's Bible Handbook is the only thing that comes to mind. It's a 1-volume thing. But at the end of it, there will be a bibliographic entry that they used for writing their article. Sometimes is all I'm saying. So that's a good place to start. Start with an article where somebody brought together a lot of information from other people, and you go, ooh, wow, I see some names of people that I think have some credibility, or maybe I should go to that original resource. In a sense, you're thinking they still might not be the original primary source, unless you're thinking of that person in particular. Excuse me, we tend to think of tertiary sources as not valuable. When Dr. Gramacki, myself, when we're looking at master's thesis, we look for, why did you use that resource? You should have used a secondary or a primary. So we're going to look for those, but there are times when tertiary is acceptable. If they have bibliographies, they can sometimes be valuable. I was just mentioning that, informing you about topics that are new to you, but sometimes it's a resource that, again, you need to look at the context in which it's being used. It's important that I hear that blog post in a popular way, like I just mentioned earlier. So even these tertiary resources might be a valuable one for us. Don't discount them. Definitely for the finding of other information. Differentiating primary, secondary, and tertiary. Not absolute relative to a research project. Most instances, an article in a scholarly journal will generally be a secondary source. But even there, they might be, and I'm thinking of that, no, it's for another class, where it's not a journal, it's a collection of articles in an edition of multi-volume edited by Bruce Ware, and they're dealing with the text. I'm thinking of a couple articles there where they have some charts of their original work with the different Greek form of a word. Alphetein is what I'm thinking of that article. So you have to look at the source. It might be a primary source. An encyclopedia article is usually a tertiary, but it would become a primary if you're studying the way the encyclopedia is dealing with it, and maybe that specific author, again, coming back, who wrote that article. John Murray's article on law and the New Bible Dictionary, again, there's none of those 1-volume ones, would be a secondary source, Murray's conclusions about the subject. But it could be a primary source if you're dealing with John Murray's thoughts. All right, we dealt with sources tonight. You have the initial bibliography assignment. Questions about any of that before we look at languages? Oh, topics, that's what I want to get to. All right, let me back out and see if I can get. Excuse me.
How do I get there? Yeah, I gotta go to here. And we're over corner, buddy. All right, so I'm going to show everybody my comments and your questions so we can talk about it a little bit and see what we're thinking about together. All right. So Richard here, I'm first looking at what I said. Your topic's too short. Now I've tried to deal with each line.
Yeah.
I dealt with the line and then I went to the next one. Oh wow! So my comments sometimes evolve with my reading.
Much like my response did.
My first felt thing was that's a little
Correct.
short. It's not specific enough. Can you get a little bit more? And then I started looking at, oh wow, and new nature, we're born again. How Christian ought to live. All right, I hear two things going on there.
Yep.
Is there a way that you can combine them both? That they fit together? Because I see now the third one.
Yeah.
Oh, so you really got a lot more packed in here. So I initially said, go back to square one and start over again. No, I didn't mean it that way. But I'm going, hey, that's good. All right. But you still need to do some narrowing.
Okay.
Is what I would suggest as I look at it. So everybody with it together. I'm working on the topic of the new birth. She's brought in the topic because I want to find out. Here's your question here. What does it mean to have the new nature? To better understand. Again, you still sound two things. And one thing is, what does it mean to have the new nature? That's a theological type question.
Mm-hmm.
How they ought to live. Wow. The theology now brings to my praxis. So they're tied together. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Is what you need to ask. Because then there's the so what. How do I experience the new birth? Is it another thought that I had? I don't think I wrote it down. Was, are you thinking of that initial change, or is it somebody that's been a little older? Okay, there's a number of angles you could go with there.
Yeah, I left it somewhat broad.
Okay.
Intentionally, because I didn't know the specific, as far as not as much the initial experience, not as much dealing with that, but it would be more how that affects your life after you've had a new nature.
Well, I think you have a good place to get started.
Yeah.
And then as you're now going to start, okay, let's see if we can find some resources about the new birth, the experience of, is this sanctification? There's a number of questions you can ask.
Will come into it,
And you're going to try to find material that you're going to start then reading and processing. And there's where the 350 pages, but you don't have to read it for this class. You need to just find it, but make it substantive, not just a blog post type things. Okay, those aren't too bad. Good question. Is a good one. All right, now here, Li Chong. Fill it out, and I'm just asking you here in your thing. Just use the three statements like we were using my topic, because in order that. So just rewrite it again, Li Chong. And that's all I'm asking you to do. All right, the eschatology of Paul in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. Thoughts, just off the top of my head. What do you mean? Specifically? That's a broad.
That's huge.
Yeah, because he's dealing with the rapture, or he's dealing with second coming, he's dealing with the wow, in 2nd Thessalonians, what's the big hot question is there? Is he talking about the rapture there in 2nd Thessalonians 2? Now, 2nd Thessalonians is broad, or is he talking about the apostasy in the church at the end? Now, that's a big contemporary question there that's going on there. So you need to narrow it down. So answer, and the thing that'll help you to answer it will be to start writing that because statement and then so what, and that'll help you to start thinking a little bit more. So, anybody else have any suggestions there? Because this should be a process for us all. Very good, Masashi. What are you writing about? I'm working on the topic of Paul's eschatology in 1st, 2nd Thessalonians in relation to the church. Now, are you both taking 1st and 2nd Thessalonians now? Is that all right? You're in class. Good. It'll help you with the class because I want to find out Paul's. Oh, gosh.
That's why everybody's taking it. It's like, why is everybody?
Yes. No, I understand that. That's okay. That's good. Stay with
Is that
it.
an undergrad class?
If it'll help you. I want to find out Paul's perspective on God's future plan for the church portrayed in the letter. All right. So now you've got some plan for the church. What's specific? I wonder. Oh, let's go to the third one. In order that my readers understand better what will be coming for the church and be prepared for the coming Christ. It still feels a little broad, but you're going to start
thinking a little bit more focused. What specific question? Go find out who is written on this topic, as that's been talked a lot about. Then think of your audience. You're here as not exchange student, but you're here from not home. You're not home here in America. And so you're writing it for an audience that's there, maybe. So there's where the audience is social contract. What kind of questions back in where I live is the church struggling with that I could help them answer? You know, I mean, the same thing, Lee Chung, wherever he's living. That might be something that, you know, we don't understand because the American church is struggling with it a little differently. See what I'm getting at? And as you start looking at that and the research material, and then you want to go to people that are writing, you know, in your, is it Japan that you're from?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to remember. Musashi. All right, so Sean, here you go. We talked about it last week, and so you're putting it down in writing. Heard you. We're on the topic of the Second Temple Judaism and the theological relationship to modern day Christians. Oh, okay. You know, it feels like a lot. Let's go to the second one.
Yeah.
Because I want to find out why the history of the Second Temple writing to be better understand the life of Christ. Ooh, sounds like you've introduced a different topic there.
Yeah, I
The life
know,
of
and
Christ.
that's what, because what I want to know about is, because I wanted to find out, you know, like I said, and that's why I've got to go back and redo it, because
Is there a passage you're thinking of that might it might be a focal point for you? Now, again, maybe that's not what you're thinking. If you're thinking more of a history,
I'm trying to figure out how second, and that's where I keep running into a block is how the Second Temple, like, and I think I'm going to focus more on the Maccabees, because they're the ones who produce, you know, the four, because of the Maccabees, I thought, or my thinking, they're the ones who produce the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, and all those, which are what influenced Christ to, and I don't know, I'm kind of lost right now, because, not because of your comments, but because of the way I did this. It's just, yeah, my own brain is lost right now.
Okay, let's look at your third statement. In order to help my readers understand better why Christ, so I hear something else coming here. You want to focus in Christ spoke the way that he did. When? Where?
And it was supposed to be, what I'm trying to get my readers to understand is,
He spoke about the temple. He spoke in the context of the temple. What are you thinking with that one, Sean? What do you think?
the way I was thinking is just, the fact is that he was, and I think it goes back to what I'm thinking about doing is like going against the Pharisees, going against the Sadducees, speaking out against the religious leaders. Why did he focus so much on the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and throughout all the Gospels and even Paul's letters, you know, the New Testament all focuses on like the Judaizers and, you know, the Pharisees and Sadducees, because they're the ones who, like,
So all the religious leaders.
yeah, religious leaders, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I'm kind of going at, and that's why I wrote that, because it's like, okay, what I want my readers to understand and care about is, okay, why did Christ, and I guess I didn't think about it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. If you
Until I look at it again now, and I'm like, okay, now I see.
all right, it's not the temple.
It would be a huge topic, right? That's why I need to narrow it down.
It's the Judaism at the time of Christ. Is that everybody keep talking? Help Sean a little bit, because this is what's good. You sit down and talk with those
Well, that's
people.
what I'm you're thinking like the results of Second Temple Judaism, like
Yeah.
how that, like the intertestamental period, and then how that. affected-
Why did they have the opinions that they held at the time of Christ?
Yeah.
Is it relative to their interpretation? Yeah, things that come to my mind. Matthew 5:6, where he
Yeah.
says, "You heard it said," but I tell you. So there was a twisting of the law that they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, at 23, where he says, "You whitewash tombs. You know, you follow the law down to the netnoid, but then you disregard this part. You know,
Yeah.
do what they say, but don't do what they do."
Yeah.
But I also was wondering, you know, when I first saw the temple, I go, where Christ says, "Destroy this temple in 3 days." I'm going
Oh, no,
John
I'm
2,
thinking
but that's not
the-
what you're thinking of.
And I'm thinking of Second Temple period,
Yeah.
from right after, you know, Daniel and everybody comes back, well, not Daniel, but
Malachi.
Well, maybe you
No,
need
that-
to keep doing a
Ezra,
little,
thank you.
Yeah.
Ezra to,
keep doing a little thinking, start finding something about them. Are you gonna go to the rabbinical writings? Yeah, you'll probably have to. Those would be some of your sources. The Talmud, the Mishnah, where they had commentaries, and then they lived it out, their application of the law.
so look more into like. the
That'd be
Jewish
part of it,
writings.
and then you'd want to find some Christian writers that are critiquing that time period. I gotta assume there's a lot of people that
Yeah,
have thought through the same kinds of questions that you're asking. You know, why did Jesus respond this way to them,
yeah.
as well as what's going wrong?
Now, like I said, my brain, it's not until, I normally don't come up with a subject, and this is why I change. I normally don't have a topic until after I'm done writing about what I want to write about.
Then you step back.
Then I-
Well, hopefully
yeah,
this will
then I-
speed it up and we'll make it a little better.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I've seen that, you know, is when I write what I want to write about. And then I come back and go, okay, I get this, and this from it. This is my topic.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll just want to do the Maccabean period and
Yeah.
not go to Jesus.
That's what I'm thinking about, you know. that
Yeah,
you're saying,
really,
yeah.
because that's
That would
sort of,
narrow it down.
it's
Yeah.
really not Christ, in sense it's what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and really, you
Christ
just feel
had to
like the
deal with
history
it.
leading up to.
Yeah.
And
and that's why I was thinking,
Yeah.
too, because
At that point. Yeah.
it gets
And
so broad.
that's
Yeah.
very legitimate research, because any of us doing New Testament work, we need to understand what's going on there.
Okay.
You know,
historical context.
because then there's the so what. So I can understand that makes a little bit more sense out of why Jesus was acting the way he did. Again, that's Mike Dodd's.
Yeah.
Thinking of it now.
Look at the Maccabean period then.
Yeah.
And that
Or
can be kind of
the
that set color. collusion
pre-New
back
Testament,
to
the
this.
intertestamental period.
Right.
And that can leave out questions at the end. So basically you could say, hey, this is, you know, I'm unable to get this. These lead to these next questions. So
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Got a good one.
Post-exilic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to figure out, the post-exilic. But I
That's
could-
still awful broad, but.
Yeah, it's still way.
get you there. As you're talking, it reminded me of and this isn't a resource for, because it was just, very, very shallow level. Gene Getz, in his book Sharpening the Focus of the Church, did a chapter on just history. What happened to the church at different points? Why does it need to be refocused? Sharpening the focus of the church. Remember that? Did you see that?
No, I'm just
And
saying.
he
it'd be
talked
right.
about that period of time, what was going on then. And he talked about the Reformation period. Why did the Reformation have to happen? Because the church got funky.
Yeah.
And what's going on today? Well, that's why we have different
have
things
you read
going
the
on.
first Maccabees?
Yes.
Okay.
I've read all the.
It's actually good. Yeah, the second one, there's a whole bunch of garbage, but it's like,
Oh,
yeah.
you've read it.
Yeah,
Good.
the first one's good, actually. There's some good stuff.
Well,
Really
like the
good
book,
stuff in
like we were talking about the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
That's supposedly supposed to come out in that time.
Hmm.
But yeah.
All right, we've gone way past the second hour. We need to take a stretch break, anybody?
Yes,
See where we're
please.
at before we talk about languages? Do that. Quick
Please.
question?
His question. His question.
Oh, you didn't do his yet, sir.
Uh-oh. Oh, he didn't do it.
Hey, you gotta slaughter mine now.
James.
Oh, I
You'll go
Save the
really
best
good.
till last, because the Z's, they're going down. All right,
Wow.
I'm working on the topic of man. That's way too broad as I see it just right there, because I want to find out this wicked generation, because it's referenced in that
In
passage.
Matthew 12.
What is that
45.
generation? All right, now that just stopping right there and go, okay, that is a significant question. Every pastor has to answer. Every exegete. I'm thinking more in Matthew. That phrase is used throughout Matthew, maybe the Gospels too, but I remember.
In this one, though, I want to use it to this context right here, because what he's talking about is he's actually, where he's talking about this one, he's talking about the particular sins that kind of lead up to what I am going to leading forward to. Actually, it's going to be leading into the Antichrist. This is going to be the final submission into where it's going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why
I'm thinking in chapter 24, where he says, this generation will not pass away.
Yes,
And okay, there's an echo, and I think he's using it a certain
I
way.
believe so too,
When
but
he
I want
says
to
this
actually, that's
Genea.
why I want to go at that one, and that way I can tackle it from the other.
All right, so the last one is, why do you want to do it? To help everyone to understand how this matter speaks not only to past Judean generation, but to the current one. Now I'm getting a little lost. What is the past generation?
Well,
One it needs a little
we're
more
talking-
focus, but
we're talking.
then I read the bottom here and I go, oh, okay. Now I see what you're talking about, what you just said, the Antichrist there at the end,
Okay.
the contemporary. So writing the top part a little bit more clearly to include this information, and that's what I said down here at the bottom. In light of what you said in the paragraph below, because that added a lot for me when I finally got down. I just started typing and as I went through each line there. Good topic. Because now you're coming back to what's the so what for us today? Wow, there's a question there
Well, really today too.
that Matthew, and we wonder his eschatology. He's very Jewish. Would you say?
Especially with what's going on specifically today
Yeah.
in Israel too.
Yeah. And boy, when we think of prophetic scripture, you know, he wrote this before 70 AD and all that discussion there, and we tend to throw the rapture in there, but the rapture's not here. You know, I can shoot. So, but there's some tough questions there. Okay,
You have some fun with that one.
I'll start doing some research and have at it. So everything you wrote starts making sense as I get near the bottom because you gave it a little, and that's really, as we're going through the assignments, there's that prose outline where you're just, now I'm starting to do what you did in your paragraph there and stepping back. Oh, wow. It gives me some clarity. And then okay, got to rewrite that, you know, that thing. So we're going to add to every element. Am I losing anybody? Good, cool, good stuff. Good. Let's take a stretch break. Oh, please. And then we'll finish it up. John's gotta stand. These chairs are wicked. In fact, if you want real wicked ones, take those brown ones in the back. If anybody's on one of the brown ones, they're worse than these blue ones. Blue ones got a little better, and then we went to the big one. We don't have any big
There's one
ones
right there. I was gonna steal that one. I steal that one on Mondays.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, there was another one that had arms, or maybe it is that one. We had something else in here.
I have an L4 and L5
Oh, really?
ish issue.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I know you're talking spine and pain.
Yeah,
That's what that
I have
says.
2 herniated discs
Ooh,
in my L4 and L5, which are the lower ones.
uh-huh.
So, and they'll seize up on me once in a while.
Ooh, well, do what you need to do. When I was in the Air Force and we had at OTS, Officer Training School, ran you ragged, you studied all night and had hardly any sleep. And so you're sitting in these rooms and sometimes the professors were dry.
Oh, yeah.
But you didn't want to fall asleep.
That's
So
my
you
power-
get up and sleep against the wall if you need to, but don't fall asleep in your chair. They're gonna ding you so bad.
That's my PowerPoint.
Lieutenant!
That's my PowerPoint.
Yes, that's it.
I mean, I was in San Antonio
Oh,
twice.
that's right, you've been.
I was
And you
there.
are, or you've been?
I've been.
You've been.
I was there from most of 94 for combat medic school.
Yeah.
So I was there in 94. And then I was back there in
At Wilford
98.
Hall? Is that where they did at Wilford Hall?
No, on San Antonio, on Fort Sam.
Oh, Fort Sam. You're in the Army.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I was at Fort
Saying
Sam.
Wilford Hall, that's where Air Force people think
Yep.
about.
But yeah, I was at Fort Sam for 4 months the first time. And then I was there for 8 months. Not 8 months. 6 months. My second tour.
Huh.
And I was for ear, nose, and throat tech. Audiology.
Audiology. Oh, really?
Yep.
Do you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? You did. Oh, I had a good friend that was an audiologist. That's just his career. I don't know if he enjoyed it or not, but I just.
That part was okay. It was when you start dealing with the VA and stuff like that, then it starts becoming no fun.
Oh.
And I got burnt out. I mean, I honestly got burnt out in the medical field. That's why I left it.
Oh.
I mean, I could have gotten out and went to, like
Excuse me.
PA school or became a nurse or whatever when I got out.
Mhm.
the burnout rate for that is so high, then I'd be looking for a new career.
You didn't want to do that.
Yeah. And it's a politics. I know there's a lot of politics in religion too, in the church.
Yes.
Not I didn't
There
realize.
shouldn't be as much.
Right, and I
A
didn't know
human
that.
organization.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, cool. There's no politics in religion. Yeah, there's more than I thought there was.
It's the ungodly politics.
Yeah, Paul writes about it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they all write about politics. And I didn't realize it until I started doing this walk with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got out of the medical. I went to mechanical. I went and became an automotive mechanic. I actually worked at
In the service or no?
No,
after you
this
got
is
out?
after I retired.
Okay.
I retired in 2014 with 25 years.
Cool.
Yep.
Good for you.
Well, 5 of them were National Guard, but
Still got your retirement, right?
oh yeah, I got full
it's just
20.
in full, you get all full
Every-
25 years of points there.
Yep. I retired as an E5. Shot myself in the foot a couple times throughout my career. So hey, it happens. That and because I was in that specialty, I couldn't deploy. In the last 6 years of my career, when it came the promotion system for us, it's totally different than the Air Force. For us, we had a point system. And since I couldn't go to deployment, I
Yeah,
lost.
that cut you out a whole bunch of stuff.
And in the medical field, we have 800 points. Most of our points were 780, 790 to get promoted from E5 to D6. So
I think the Air Force had a point system too for the enlisted.
Yeah.
If I remember right. It was a little different.
so you were more on the officer
You
side.
competed with all your ribbons and everything. So there's where you couldn't deploy. Well, you didn't get all the extra stuff.
Right.
Look good. You didn't get
I
the
didn't get the combat
campaign,
stuff.
the I was in whatever country ribbon. type
Yep.
thing.
Now,
So,
for BFW, I qualified because I've been to Korea. If I wanted to go be,
Well,
if I wanted to
yeah.
be a member of the VFW, I can
that's-
go join the VFW because I've been to Korea.
You were in a foreign place that's still very hot.
Yeah,
As soon as what they're
it's
talking about.
considered a war zone
Yeah,
or a combat zone. So
cool.
yeah, so then after my body told me, don't be a mechanic no more,
My body's completely heavy.
the company I work for now, I did plumbing. Maintenance style plumbing.
Yep.
And then when I started school, I switched from plumbing to painting. So I became a master painter.
Cool.
And now I'm getting my master's.
Now, when you say master painter, painting what?
Like this, buildings.
Building. Okay.
I had 23 buildings, 23 schools.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't in the master, but I was like, I
yeah.
wasn't an apprentice no more. But we had 23 buildings, 23 schools that we had to go. Sorry, I take my shoes off once in a while because of my feet. Yes, sir. I will take care of it. Yes, sir.
Ricky, now here's another handout. See that
Look,
way.
oh, this is different. Oh, this is much cleaner.
These are different.
Yeah.
All right, well. And then final one. 3 pages on this one here. But things I found online that I thought would be
Yeah, I think I've
beneficial
seen
for
this
us.
one. This is on one of your links. Yeah.
Yeah, these are the links. Well, not this one. I'll show the other one, but this is
Right.
what I have for tonight. These are the handouts that are there. So these from what I just handed out, as you're looking at it, I've handed out the handouts that are at the bottom of where you saw this video, and you see the PowerPoint links or the PowerPoint files. And these are the handouts I just handed to them, and we're going to open them up in Canvas when we get to that point. Let's talk about it first. You guys ready? We'll finish up
I was
here
already on that.
quick we can.
Thank you, sir.
You're fine. What I have on the screen now, and Sean, just make sure I'm sharing this correctly for Li Shuang. At
Yes, sir.
the top of this, it's practice formatting. Practice 2, go to the chapter 17, answer the top stuff. Go to chapter 21 for the bottom. At the end of each of these, and there's 3 more formatting exercises, I'm going to take you to another chapter in the back of Turabian. So you're seeing formatting issues. We're going to talk a little bit about formatting at the end. There's a wealth of information, not only about how to make the paper look right and to use numbers correctly and all the rest, but also how to write. So what I've got here at the bottom, the following paragraph has all the punctuation removed. Oh, wow. So I'm looking at Masashi, English, punctuation, whatever issues struggle with you. I've got the periods there. How would you punctuate this? Well, go to chapter 21 and just look around. I really, that's all the purpose is, to get you to look through Turabian so you know what resource you have there. Some of us are a little bit better with English than others. Some of us are good with grammar. Some of us better get an editor. That's what it's telling you. But try it, see what you get. And there's a couple places here where you could write it a few different ways, but you don't change the wording. Don't rewrite the sentences. Just add punctuation.
Yeah, because actually that's what I would have done.
Yes, yeah.
I would have copied and pasted the Grammarly and let it go.
Punctuation is an important thing. What's the classic example? You have a sentence. I wish I had it on the board. Let's eat, comma, grandma.
Yeah.
If you have the comma there, it's a direct address. Let's eat, grandma. If you took the comma out, what would it say? Let's eat grandma.
Yeah.
So punctuation in English is important.
Doesn't matter.
It's not in the other. And it's from Pete Drucker. Here's links to different, like I did last week with the exercises. Now I'm asking you to use chapter 17, which is the examples for how to do
And all 4 of
different kinds of
those,
formatting.
sir, all 4 of those, you wanted to have a bibliography because 2 of them are not necessary, but you do want them on there.
What are you asking?
Well, you wanted a note and a bibliography. You wanted a note for each one of those. You asked for
I'm
each.
asking for you to write
Okay.
both a footnote entry for a specific page, and I referenced here as being quoted. Are you saying there's a couple others that there's no specific page with it?
No, that a bibliography is not required for those, but you're requiring them for them.
What do you mean a bibliography is not required?
There's one of them that actually gives you an option to it when you look into Turabian.
Oh,
Turabian, when I'm looking at it, actually gives you an option.
which one's
for
that?
it. I think it's.
Let's talk together so everybody's aware.
I don't think I put it in the right order,
Okay.
but you're just saying that you do want one more for all of them because it actually says yes or no.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I'm. How would you enter that if you were using this item? And you see, I've got it on the side. So here's a journal. Gary Gramaki's in this one too, I think. Yep. See his name here.
Yes, on that one.
He was one of the editors. And there's information about it. And now this is the specific article I'm referencing. If you put a bibliographic, and if I didn't designate a page, just need to make it the first page or somewhere in this range. And you notice the range here.
Okay.
Of
So you do
pages.
want that. Okay.
So for a footnote, just make it look like a footnote for that item. And what I'm trying to do is just expose you to different kinds of resources. So you start thinking, well, how would I footnote a page out of that? With the first one, if I remember right, I didn't give a page. So I needed to say what page in this book and that chapter specifically. So what you're thinking is, all right, is this a book by one person? Is this a chapter by one person that the ultimate editor is not the same person? All right, you're thinking your way through the book, and I think I've given you enough information to answer, but I'll see what you're saying there. And then the next exercise will take you another level into Turabian and formatting in the back. Any questions on that? Just a quick one, and just respond down and hit a reply box if you want to do it in a Word file and upload it. You can go through that hassle, but you can just answer it all in the reply box below. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Just introduce transliteration. When you're doing research here, we're working on the assumption you don't have the languages. Now, Sean, this is still showing for Li Shuang. Transliteration.
Yes, sir.
We're seeing it in Teams. Good, thank you. Greek breathing. There's a couple slides here, and I'm saying it for Li Shuang as well as us here, that I don't have anything in, and I need to add that information. I didn't do that, but we're going to talk it through here as we go through the handouts that I've given you. All right, I'm not back in Canvas. They're at the bottom of the link for class or module week number 2, and go to the very bottom. And these are the handouts that I gave you all here. But let's go through the PowerPoint first of all. The Greek alphabet. What letter of the English alphabet? I'm seeing in a commentary a word, or I'm seeing in the Bible, and I want to use that word. I don't have Greek software, Hebrew software, so what would I type? And you can see this, the things that I've given you is what I type in English for that letter. That's what we're looking at. Theta, now I've got TH sound, theta. So you just work your way through. A couple of them get a little interesting, but this is where you got to recognize the letters. And then how do I put it in English? Vowels. I'm wondering, as I look back through it, why do I have this slide here again? When you think of transliterating, it's just the same, it's the letters. But the issue might be sometimes when you get into diphthongs, and I'm just reviewing more here with that. The 2 letters, you put them there. You're going to see when they write, some people might present it a little differently. All right, let me go back. No, I don't have any word that would have a breathing on it, but let's see which ones we have. No, the only one we'd have here, Ikesa. Hukesa, would that be what I'd say? So would this have a rough or smooth breathing? I'd want to look in the text that I'm looking at. You remember what a rough breathing is? Backwards apostrophe. Smooth, meaning you don't put an H in front of it. If it's a rough, you put a who, hey, who kesa is what I'd have. And there's Moses. Is that the last one? Why it's capitalized? I have there. Practice there. So what would we write for here? It's got a rough breathing. H. Eta. So you look down at your chart. What is an eta? How is that put down in English? And the next letter is in day. What do we have up here? It's an M, right? And E, that's just an accent in the middle of the letter. And R looks like a P, but it's not. It's not P in Greek. It's rho. And an alpha, again, an accent.
So how would you write that out? Could you write that like that?
I don't transliterate, so what would be the eta? Oh, what did I do? Eta, come on. Eta H. Well, that'd mess you up, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's why I say I was trying to think how I'd write that out. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh.
So you have a rough breathing HH, then what would we have? No, we were skinny.
How do you get day out of
Oh, Hamera. Hamera. That's what we translate her at. Skinny. Skinny. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm not used to transliterating. Skinny. Cool. And then anthropos. This is easy because we know the word. How would you write the O with that, or would you make it an O sound
Yeah.
You know, some people put it with an accent to make it for English. Anthropos, you know. And now we're writing that the English P. Huios. So we have a huios. And I put the dot because I know I'm in English there. Logoi. In English, dot the I. Hoda. Hoda. Yeah, I'm not used to transliterating. Am I confusing you, Sean? He's got a
Beyond, that's okay. I'm just gonna roll with it and just,
use the chart and
I'm trying to figure out what you're writing.
I'm
Are
sorry.
you breaking down each letter from the?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it didn't say day to me, that says something else.
No.
Yeah.
That's
the Greek
It's
word
the
for
Greek
day.
word for day.
Hey, remember,
Greek word for day. Now he's transliterating it into like the,
if I were to try to write this, yeah, I don't have Greek software. I didn't want to use it. So I wanted to write an English transliteration using English letters for the Greek letters. And you use that chart out to the right. So, hey, there's the rough breathing. The Eta, Mera, Hemera, not a long A sound, but Hemera. Does that make sense, Sean?
you know, like in a book when they're usually sounding it out after they wrote it in Greek and they sound it
Yeah,
out.
I use.
That's it. That's what he's doing. Basically sounding it out with
With
English
one word.
words,
That's all one word.
each word.
Yes.
Each one is. a
Right, that
different
one is
word.
Hemera. These are all individual words. It's not a, what do we have? And
Oh, so you're, okay, so you're not taking that first one and saying, Humrush, you know, blah, blah, who knows, blah, blah, whatever.
No.
Yes.
That's the first one. Like that Hemera right there, that's the first word.
That's the first word, not the first letter.
No. first
No,
word.
no.
First word.
The letters are on that chart. It's just to help you. You know, if this you're talking about alpha, you know, the alpha at the top, I've got an English word. That's how to say it. Beta,
Right,
gamma, delta.
I get that
But
part.
when
That part's easy.
when I'm translating a word that has D in it, I use the letter D whenever I see this Greek letter.
Okay.
What you're talking about, you made a good point. What we're asking people to do in our articles for iJoba, you know, we can write in Greek and Hebrew, all right? Because we're in cemetery, right? So when you write for a popular audience, still use Greek if you want to, but then in parenthesis, put a transliteration. So people in English who don't know Greek or Hebrew can go, oh, that's what that sounds like. And they can sound it out in English.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have the software to put it in, then just transliterate the word. This is the Greek word or the Hebrew word. And then when they go to their resources, their tools, dictionaries, lexicons,
Yeah.
that are based off of English, then they can find the word. And
There's some commentaries that do that, like
Yep.
Hebert, Hebert. He does it to where he'll have the word, but he'll just transliterate it. He can put the Greek in there.
And that's the accepted practice today.
Yeah, and so he does that.
You go back a
So
few
yeah, you're
Commentaries,
gonna see
I do all my
those
commentaries in here, so I guess I
Yeah.
need to get rid of these and go to my actual commentaries I have at the house.
Mhm. You go back a few years and they didn't transliterate as much
Right.
because people were more fluent in the languages.
No, we're not.
We really aren't. We
Yeah,
just
no,
make it
yeah,
more
it's just
accessible
true.
for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, now here is the sounding out is the word that's underneath each of these. You saw on that chart from last week. But what's the letter? All right, then here's the final. That word looks the letter looks a little different because it drops down. That final side, you know, it has a little squiggle at the bottom, but now it's dropped down. The pay there, instead of the bottom, it drops down. The noon, it drops down. Are you recognizing the letter? How do I sound it out? Write it in English. And here's the sounding and practice. So what would I write for Av? I have a non-sounding. Now I write it in English, which is from left to right, not right to left. So I write alpha, but it's an Av, but I'm sounding the vowel on that one, and it's a B, Av. I think that's how I'd sound it. Write it down. So what would I write here? I want to get the vowel, so you tie that one chart. It's not an A. Again, transliteration. But I definitely have an N, an IN. Oh, wow. What do I do for that? There's some places where that's not even put in, and then an R at the end. But I've got another letter in there. So I'm looking at the charts to try to put it into English.
That would be a tough one.
Yeah.
I have a question,
Yes.
because I don't know anything on Hebrew. So bake, is it sometimes a B or a V sound?
Yes.
That or that,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know how do you know the difference? For my sake, I was on Logos and I hit the pronunciation, so it said it for me, but I thought it was going to be a B sound, but it was a V.
You listen to the websites that I sent you to, and a couple of those, they do actually sound different.
Okay, yeah, I noticed.
It's
'Cause I was
just the
watching,
way
like,
the
the Zondervan
person,
one.
the Hebrew speaker, is pronouncing it.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
want to go with the real Hebrew speakers, not an English person who's using a
Yeah.
Southern drawl or whatever it is. The ones I
Yeah.
gave you are good, but there's some differences.
Okay.
Now, there's also a difference as where it is in the word too.
Okay.
I'm looking at
So
what.
for that, we don't
terms I have
necessarily
in-
need to know that.
Pardon?
So we don't necessarily need to get into that for this
No.
class, but
Let me give you.
I didn't know if there was just an easy
I've given you
rule.
some handouts here, and that's what I need to do now. Let me go back to Canvas.
I was looking at YouTube.
So was I.
And as I was
But they're all
doing it,
different.
yeah, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and the same thing, I was sitting there going, he just pronounced that. And then, yeah, I was having fun. And it's also by the you had final pay, some of them would go final pay, because they used the pay instead of the pay, and I'm sitting there going, so which one is
Yes.
it really? I said, I'm
It's messed up.
confused.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the Greek transliteration. Look at this handout here. I give it to y'all.
Mhm.
And Li Shuang, you want to open in Canvas there, sort of stop the video, open the handout, the first handout, Greek transliteration, and then restart the video. All right, so this is what we're talking about here. We've got everything we laid out, the letters, capital, small letters, the sound for the letter, and what we would transliterate. Let's look through the rest of the handout. Diphthongs, we added that in there, going down. Breathing marks to remind ourselves in this handout. It helps distinguish between similarly spelled words. See here, ain, hain. Let's go. Can't see. No, it's ain. Was, but hain means which. All right, so you see up here at the top, it depends on the breathing there. So but that's not transliterating. That's the handout there for placement of the breathing marks with diphthongs. Now again, we're still writing in Greek. It doesn't have a transliteration, but it just gives us the letters. That's a little bit more straightforward than the others. So let's go down. Here's an interesting handout that you need to be aware of. We don't have the time, 3 minutes here. But as you're looking at letters, we're not only seeing letters, what looks like the vowels below. Maybe you notice in some Hebrew letters, there's pointing in the letter. Now we got dagesh line, dagesh forte. As it sounds like forte, there's a sound, meaning, just read with me there, the A, 3 dots. They look the same, but don't. Dagesh line can occur in these 6 letters, and they're called the Begad Gafat letters. Sound them out, Begad Gafat. And you've got those letters. They have a dot in them. There's the Begad Gafat. You actually say that to help remember it. This is the only pronunciation issue. Without dagesh line, the breath is moving, as in graphite. Dagesh line tells you that the breath stopped, as in crackpot. All right. Dagesh forte. This does something different when we're trying to transliterate. It indicates a letter's doubled. They don't put in 2 yet. Well, that we have a rough breathing. This isn't a breathing issue in a sense. A few letters called gutturals will not double, and so you can't take a dagesh forte, so you have something else going on. But anyway, when you see a specific letter has a dot in it,
You got to ask what it's about. If it's a God Gefat letter, it's not a forte. You don't double it. Those just normally have them. If it's another letter that's not a God Gefat letter, you got to double it. So we're talking about transliteration. You're going to see that. How did they get to that? Consonant groupings for study. No, I don't need that. Here's the God Gefat letters again. Notice stop, spirant, meaning you're moving along with your sound. Letters with final forms, and then you can have the dots in them. Similar sounds. So there's a lot here. Dentals, depending on where your tongue is, as you're saying it. Gutturals in the back of the throat. We're not doing the sounding. Sibilants make an S sound. And you go back to the alphabet, and this is what you're. These last few points will help you with the alphabet. But for our purposes, for this handout, you got to know now with letters, you're going to run into some dots. Some mean something, when you double the letter. Some don't. Take a stab at it. That's all I'm asking you to do. So look around with the words that I've given you. Let's go to the last handout. Now here it's another Hebrew alphabet. It's adding some more information. Same thing with the pronunciation. Pronunciation with Aleph and Ayin. Hebrew letters with final forms. We've already talked about that. Now notice this transliteration. So we've got a word here, an example. So that's why I give you this so you can see, oh, we got a Dalet road Dalet or cough. Notice the drop down of the cough there at the end of that word. And here I've got the ayin. And how do I translate? There's where I'm going. It's sort of like an apostrophe up there. Backwards. And a meme. So this gives you some examples of how to work with it. Over on the right, it talks about the Dalish, the God Gefat letters. Now, using a different format appearance, that's all that it is. They're different characters. We like to use these characters of fonts when you're typing. But some of them end up like this. You're going to see it. So it looks a little different. A Dagish lineage will appear only with the God Gefat and transliteration. Some more information about transliteration. And the purpose for our class is not that you know Hebrew, because you're going to take a long time to get at this and figure it out. But when I'm seeing a word written in English, how do they get that out of that Hebrew, those Hebrew consonants? As well as what do I do with that word? Well, take a stab at transliterating it with the minimal stuff that we have here if you're trying to type. I'm looking around for confusion. Li Shuang, I can't see your face, so I don't know if there's Masashi. That look on your face is, I think I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, just write English there for us. Here's the assignment is the other sheet. Did I give you the assignment sheet? I had a stack of them.
Yeah. You did that last week, though. So
yeah.
That was one you gave last
Here's the assignments right here. I didn't pass that out yet. Take one down. And I'm going to put it on the screen here for Ms. Li Shuang. All right, so we're going to assignments. You find the second language exercise. With this file, just like the other one, they're all going to look the same. Number one doesn't apply to you all because you all have only one language in Ricky's case, and the rest don't have any. So, Ricky, you only have Greek experience, so you're going to do the more in-depth Greek here.
Okay.
A Greek word study, passage analysis, and read through what I'm asking, because that says word study. My stars, how many pages you want? Just less than one page. Go to the Epistle of Romans, either using your language software or selected research tools. Identify all the particulars concerning each word in the passage. One verse. Just identify the different parts of speech there for us.
Okay, that's all. Not have to get real complicated. It's actually gone really deep.
Nope. Just select one of those verses there.
Just put it was a noun, genitive, singular,
Right.
masculine.
Right.
Dative.
You're seeing, and because when you get in the language, then you go, oh, they all have a different form.
They do,
Just like you do in English. So
Okay, and you want to do one or both of those? word study or
One or.
Greek.
Yeah, select
Okay.
Yeah,
one. of the
oh,
following.
yeah, see,
So,
or passage notes, you
Yeah.
either do the word,
Yeah.
select one of the following,
Okay.
and do analysis, Paul's use.
Yeah, that's what I did last week,
Wrong.
because I got ready to start doing the second one, and then I read it, and it says or, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
I don't have to do a word study.
No,
and.
you don't have to do both of those, just
I
one of
would
them.
have added some time.
And the same thing with the other way around.
Okay.
For those that don't have any language, come down to the Hebrew exercise 2A, little I, and the Greek exercise 2B. I. Did I have that right?
To be or not to be?
2B, yes. So you're just at the bottom of all of them. And here you're trying to modulate, to transliterate these terms. So just take these 5 terms and translate it from Greek, and take these Hebrew terms and translate them, transliterate them. That's all I'm asking you to do. Type them out.
Okay.
Okay.
That works?
So just
So,
translate.
like,
And you don't have to duplicate the Hebrew text or anything. Just give me the words, the letters. So you're practicing transliterating in Hebrew and Greek. That makes sense for everybody? So just open a reply box and say, all right, the first one is, and I'm assuming you're going to work with English. You're going to read this, but I'll see it when you do it anyway.
Yeah,
But,
so you'll know. We do it the other way.
so it doesn't matter if you want to start from right to left. Zakar.
I went ahead and did all the marks and everything for it. But a little
Cool,
crazy.
good. It takes you a little further down the road. I'm just trying to whet your appetite. This is just baby Greek, baby Hebrew for us all. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. It's where you got to start, and that's all the time we have.
That's hard enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need more.
Please don't add any more.
All right, anybody have any other questions? Next week, come back, we'll take our processing a little bit more with the research and the languages. We'll do it. Have a good week.
Thanks, sir.
Pardon, what?
That's one.
It is on. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna stop the sharing and stop the recording. Oh, cool. I didn't stop it. I had the meeting.